Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand.
I can't explain the way these crown lows they come to me. Morning meditation, Psalm 91 and 23. Watering my money tree, manifest abundantly. On a mission, running free, everything they wanna be. In summary, there's been a shift within the earth sphere. So now people hear my messages and words clear. Still shining, the illest with the brilliant timing. The gold mine who had to go find the silver lining. Ain't nothing new underneath the sun. I be going through it too, you ain't the only one. Don't take none of this life personal, cause we all got some lessons that we working through. Ain't nothing new underneath the sun. I be going through it too, you ain't the only one. Don't take none of this life personal, it's just the lessons that we working through. So why you tripping, huh? Why you mad, son? Had some good days and some bad ones. Might win some, might lose some. That's just the way it goes, life 101. Why you tripping, huh? Why you mad, son? Had some good days and some bad ones. That's just the way it goes, life 101. Yeah, life gon' be life until your day's done. Never will you see a thief return a treasure stolen. No need to lock away your heart if it was never open. Truth heals the spirit and it's better spoken. Most never heal, they remain forever broken. I protect over my cells like a prison guard. True and living star, pay the price to get these wisdom bars. Listen hard, I was cut out of a different cloth. Turn your light up on these hoes and never switch it off. The queen's a winner, moving like a seasoned ninja. I'm even tempered, never beefing like a vegan dinner. I found peace within my inner, that's a sweet surrender. Don't relive your lessons twice like repeat offenders. They'd rather see me decompose like leaves in the winter. Want me to undermine my shine and decrease my shimmer. While they compete in their subliminal battles, I'm only fighting hidden parts of my invisible shadow. Cause I learned that people never want the bitter truth, just the sweetness. But you need both the light and dark to reach completeness. Goddamn, people throw rocks and hide their hands. Vindicate the wolves and they silence in the lambs. Fight to keep your soul purer than a sacred virgin. Even if you die in the rebirth into your latest version, your fate is determined by how you shake the weight of burdens. You gotta save yourself, become your own favorite person. Ain't nothing new underneath the sun. I be going through it too, you ain't the only one. Don't take none of this life personal, cause we all got some lessons that we working through. Ain't nothing new underneath the sun. I be going through it too, you ain't the only one. Don't take none of this life personal, it's just the lessons that we working through. So why you tripping, huh? Why you mad, son? Got some good days and some bad ones. You might win some, might lose some. That's just the way it goes, life 101. Why you tripping, huh? Why you mad, son? Had some good days and some bad ones. That's just the way it goes, life 101. Yeah, life gon' be life until your day's done.
One life, 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 a life, one life, one life, a life, one life, one life, a life, one life,
All right. Shout out to Ty Phoenix. All right, with that musical rendition. Appreciate y'all tapping in. And welcome back to another edition of the Ethereal Journey podcast. All right. So we're going to bring it, drop it like it's hot. Like we always do about this time. I should have my other co-host joining me shortly. This is the 51st edition of the Ethereal Journey podcast. All right, this is episode 51, A Bittersweet Symphony, Blue Notes, and the Black Experience. All right, we're going to be digging in, tapping into this month. We're celebrating Black Music Month. All right. So you want to give y'all some highlights on that. Also, we're going to be dealing with aspects of combating the criminalization, dehumanization, exploitation, extermination of Black children, and specifically in Black people in general. All right, talking about aspects of empowerment, self determination, self sufficiency, and the need for institution building. All right, family. So a couple of things have hit the news waves. All right, so we want to make sure we up and abreast on that. We also want to keep y'all abreast on some things that is happening uh, with the planet. Okay, dealing with um, the recent hits of solar flares. All right, as well as dealing with recent earthquake and tsunami activities that we're seeing across the globe. Okay. All right. So once again, appreciate y'all tapping in and joining us on this edition of the Ethereal Journey podcast. All right. Shout out to Sister J Renee tapping in with us on our YouTube live feed. And also, let me come to again and take care of a little bit of housekeeping if I can. All right, let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Okay. All right, we got Brother Pollinator back on the stage. Let me let him back in. All right, greetings, greetings. Brother Pollinator, how you doing this evening? How you
Check
be?
1 2, check 1 2, man. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You loud and clear.
Yes, sir. How you doing today, Captain Arcade?
Doing well, doing well. Yes, indeed. How you making out? How you be? How you been? Checking in. What's good with you? What's the good news? What's the gospel? And any updates currently with anything you got going on presently or the near future?
Yeah, man. You know, everything is swell, Captain Arcade, man. It's a beautiful day. What is it, June the 9th tonight or today? Tonight, night, whatever, wherever you at, day, night, or wherever you at, it's all good and it's all right. But you know, June 9th is a beautiful time. June is a beautiful month. I know we celebrating this month, Black History Month, Black Music History Month. And that's a good thing because, you know, we love hip hop, we love R&B, we love rap, we love all those great genres of our culture, our music that we created and that we continue to create more and more great product and great content for the masses. So I'm glad today we'll be celebrating, you know, some things in Black Music History Month and so forth and so on. But other than that, man, I'm still just pumping the Syphilis Tsunami neo soul mix that I created with DJ Rocksteady out of Philly. So shout out to Philly, shout out all the Philly DJs, all the musicians that come out of Philly, specifically the conscious ones that know what they're doing and is trying to put some good information and good messages out to the masses of our people. Just working on that still, and you know, getting ready for some big things coming up that we're developing behind the scenes right now. And you know, when we release them, you know, you will be the first, and everybody else will be the first to get the information once we start putting those bad boys together. You're probably looking at some of the coming soon things that I'm doing on Facebook and all of the social media sites, and everybody's asking what is bad blood. Well, you're gonna find out what bad blood is, and I'm sort of giving some hints here and there, just you know, as we do to try to get people prepared for what's getting ready to drop. So that's all we're doing right now. I'm working on the Bad Blood project and so forth and so on. But other than that, man, everything is gravy on that rice. You know, it's all heavenly, it's all ethereal, it's all spiritual, and we bringing days of heaven on earth, man, because we changing the dynamic of the music. We want the balance scales to be balanced out towards doing more righteous music, like we've always talked about in some of our conversations. And that's where we're going with it now. All this other nonsense and all this other stuff that ain't doing nothing but kill, steal, and destroy. Y'all time is up. Game over. It's upward, forward, and onward now. And that's where we're going with everything, including our music. I yield.
I say. Good thanks, good thanks. Thank you for that addition, Brother Pollinator. And we had Sister Empress that beamed on board the Ethereum one of our illustrious co-hosts joining us this evening. Tapping in, Sister Empress, how you be? How you been? Checking in. Any recent updates for us?
All right, all right. Yes, greetings, brothers and Burial family. So, there's always things going on, and needless to say, we're really gearing up for MWM 29 this year, and that's, of course, going to really help to take us to the next step for MWM 30, the big reunion. So that's kind of what we've been working on this week, getting things, more in place. And of course, we have some updates that we're going to be getting people ready for on Sunday for the Ubuntu. There's some things that are developing for that. So we ready to rock and roll, Brother Lumumba?
All right. Excellent. All right, thank you for that addition. Let's be rocking through. All right. So with that being said, I guess we're gonna hop right into it and get the.
You gonna do some house cleaning first, Cap?
You know what? Let me see if I got that on deck. I might got to come to that first video and then swing back with the house. All right. All right. Let me share this. Let me get to my first clip. I'm gonna come back to the ethereal journalist, and then I'm gonna take care of some housekeeping. All right. So let's jump into these black facts, family. Let's jump into this universal black history. Okay. Let me share my screen. In fact, let me put that in the chat. I gotta jump on my other device too. Okay. All right, but let me share that real quick. Share my screen. Okay. Here it is. All right. That should be coming up shortly. I'm gonna share my screen. And we want to talk about a groundbreaking and pioneering invention. Urban societies, modern day civilization would not be what it is if it wasn't for this brother here. And this is just one of many, family. We oftentimes, talk about innovations and inventions that a lot of people are not aware were contributions by African Americans. All right. So this is another nod to the FBA situation, and we connect all of the dots, family. So we're not denying our African ancestry at the same time. We encompass it all over here at the Theory of Journey podcast. All right. So me myself personally, I claim it all: FBA, Black National, Pan African, and so forth. So I say and not or. All right. With that being said, let me share this video here, and let's jump into it. Get some of this good knowledge and information. Get some of these black facts. All right. Here it is right here. Let me share my screen. Let's get it rocking.
Food doesn't rot and your medicine stays cold. The reason your food doesn't rot and your medicine stays cold isn't a miracle of white industry. It's the genius of a black orphan with a 6th grade education who outthought the entire world for $6. This is the unfiltered truth about Frederick McKinley Jones. Born in 1893 and orphaned by age 9, Jones was a man the system wanted to be invisible. He dropped out of school in the 6th grade, but while the world saw a laborer, Jones saw a puzzle. He taught himself physics. No, he taught himself mechanics. He taught himself electrical engineering while working in a garage. The turning point came in 1938. His boss made a $6 bet that Jones couldn't find a way to stop meat from rotting on long truck hauls. At the time, they were using ice, which melted and ruined everything. Jones didn't just win the bet, he changed the biology of the human race. He went to the library, studied refrigeration science for 30 days, and built the world's first successful mobile refrigeration unit. That invention became Thermo King. Before him, you ate what was in your backyard. After him, you could have fresh fruit in the winter. He literally created the modern supermarket and the global food chain. But it wasn't just about groceries. During World War II, his portable cooling units were shipped to the front lines. They were used to preserve life-saving blood plasma and medicine. Thousands of Allied soldiers are alive today because a black man with a 6th grade education knew how to keep things cool. The unfiltered reality? Jones held over 60 patents, from portable X-ray machines to cinema sound equipment. Yet he was a man who was often barred from racing the very cars he engineered because of his skin color. He was the king of cool in a country that was still trying to keep him in the heat of Jim Crow. He was the first African American to receive the National Medal of Technology, but most people can't name him. We know the name of the man who made the light bulb, but we don't know the man who kept us from starving. I want to hear from you in the comments. Is the reason we don't know Frederick McKinley Jones's name because his genius proves that formal education isn't the only way to build a world? Or is it because the system is terrified to admit how much of the modern world was built by an orphan they tried to ignore? Comment Frederick Cool to honor the king. Share this to melt the lies in the history books. Hit that follow button and stay tuned to Black History Unfiltered.
All right. Let me stop my screen share there, family. Okay. Let me come to the Ethereal Journalist for additions on this.
Now I've heard a lot of things about our inventors, but I'm believing this is the first time that name has come up in my consciousness concerning somebody of our, of our nation of people creating something that now every time you open up the refrigerator door, that was created by a black man. Every time you open, what I'm saying? That's crazy to me because every time anybody opens up a refrigerator door, they're not thinking about who created it. All they doing is trying to get their grub on and pull out whatever they're trying to pull out. But if you really look at it and think about it, every time you open up a refrigerator door that a black man created it, it will give you a little bit more respect of our creative abilities as a nation of people in the diaspora of who we are as creators. That's good stuff, man. Appreciate that Black History fact. I yield.
Absolutely. Let me come over to Sister Empress.
Yeah, once again, just another wonderful example of the ingeniousness of our people. And again, I'm just so really glad to be in this time period because we are learning and seeing so much. And needless to say, the future is certainly going to be bright.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed. And what's crazy to me is, there's so many things we've done that we don't even know about, and our people don't even know about, and other nations of people don't even know about. And I'm glad we're able to bring some of these or many of these things, especially the newer things, to sort of open people's minds up and give them a chance to see that we are the originators of many, many things that they even use to this day. And it's a beautiful thing to see that. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful to the universe for allowing us to be the ones to start, putting that great information of history and who we are as the creators of many, many inventions and projects and things that we don't get credit for a lot of times. So upward, forward, and onward to the ancestors. And I'm just thankful for the newer ones that are coming up that's learning technology and becoming creators themselves. So I yield with that.
Absolutely. All right. Just understanding, once again, we are phenomenal people. We are dynamic people. We are awesome people. And our lineage stretches beyond documented history, beyond documented time, And so, we just got to be mindful and of our rich history and make sure we're tapping back into it and inserting ourselves as we should properly. Okay. All right. So the more that we know, the more that we understand, the more that we can more so value ourselves, right? Our image, our narrative, and and be able to put forth that perspective to be able to shift us back in our proper place and position historically, as well as within the human genome, the human family. Okay, as the mothers and fathers of humankind, of humanity, okay, of civilization itself. All right, family. So don't believe the hype. Okay, when you hear certain things about our people not, having a history or not contributing, A, B, and C. What if black folks contributed? I mean, what haven't we? That's a better question. You know, the refrigerator, the traffic light, the bicycle, the advancement of blood transfusion, the daggone cotton gin coming from cotton pickers, revolutionized the cotton industry. Go on and on and on. Okay, but this is just another drop in the bucket. All right, so don't get it twisted. Don't get it confused. Okay. All right. With that being said, let's jump in and let me get to the next clip. Okay. And I'm going to share, jumping into it a little bit about black music. Okay. And the contributors. All right. So let me go here and let me share my screen. Okay. This will be popping up shortly. All right. Let me share my screen. Oh, getting a little lag. Should be coming up shortly. Okay. All right. While I'm pulling that up. Okay, there it is. All right. Cool. All right. Let me share my screen. All right. And a lot of times when we think about rock and roll family, we think about, or we're given the notion of um, the kings of rock and roll. All right. But putting things into further historical context, I don't believe very often we don't talk about the queens of rock and roll. All right. So with that, let's jump in and get some information on our ancestor, Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
Sister Rosetta Thorpe was once asked about her influence on the likes of Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash during their rises. She said, "Oh, these kids in rock and roll, that's just sped up rhythm and blues. I've been doing that forever." And she didn't lie. Rosetta began performing at the age of 6 in a traveling evangelical group. Eventually, she and her mother settled in Chicago, where she would still perform in church, becoming known as a prodigy with the guitar. At 19, she got married for the first time. It didn't last. She getting married several more times and was also rumored to be involved with a few ladies, most notably singer and frequent collaborator Marie Knight. But more importantly, her fame grew as she switched to an electric guitar in the 1930s and would bend genres, speeding up gospel songs and driving full speed into secular music she had been shielded from as a child. The men who were considered pioneers of rock and roll would have never done anything without her influence. Sister Rosetta Thorpe was once asked about her influence on the likes of Elvis.
All right. All right. A little snapshot, okay, in the history of Sister Rosetta Thorpe. All right. So I'm not sure, but hopefully folks is, being able to learn additional information. Let me stop my screen share there. All right. And tap into some of the sisters that helped to revolutionize black music. With that being said, let me come over to the theory of journalist for any additions.
Yeah, the Sister Empress Chief.
Oh, like we just lost Sister Chief.
Oh no, she done blasted off on a space mission, huh?
Yeah. She done went on a secret space mission. You have to wait till she being back on board.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to connect the dot that it was not just our men, such as the Little Richards and who else is it? The Ray Charleses and all those guys that really created a lot of what we currently see as country music, Charlie Prides and all of them, And there's some women that contributed to that genre of music, as well as all the other genres of music that we know is universal. And that's one thing. You could look at our skin color. You could look at that. Yeah, we carbonated, we melanated, we what you see. But guess what? You can't deny that we are muses. We are the ones that help create music before the foundation of the worlds in the ethereal realm. We understood that rhythm is a universal law. It's a vibration. It's a frequency of who we are as musicians, as muses, whatever you want to call us. Just know that we create and we communicate through music, and to know the history of who we are as a people, that it just didn't start when we started walking on the face of Mother Earth. It started before we even came down here. So that's why we're so powerful as a people, because we understand the universal law of rhythm. We have to have rhythm in order to continue our frequency, our vibration, and our energy while we're walking the face of our beautiful Mother Earth here in terra firma. So with that being said, I yield.
Indeed, indeed. All right. Thank you for that addition, brother Pollinator. Okay. All right. Yeah, hopefully we'll have Sister Empress that is joining us. That'll be rejoining us shortly, and get her way in on this as well. All right. Before I continue, let me jump into a little bit of housekeeping and knock that out real quick. Okay, let me come. Where is it? Here it is, right here. Okay. All right. This content disclaimer: family, the views and opinions expressed in this media or comments on this channel are those of the speakers or authors and do not necessarily reflect on or represent the views and opinions held by this channel's broadcaster. Due to the social nature of this broadcasting channel, videos may contain content copyrighted by another entity or person. The channel owner claims no copyright to said content. The broadcaster channel cannot be held accountable for the copyrighted content. The broadcaster channel is a messenger and share of information and strive to verify but cannot warrant the accuracy of copyrights or completeness of the information on this channel. If you have a complaint about something or find your content is being used incorrectly, please contact the broadcaster prior to making a copyright claim. Any infringement is not done on purpose and will be rectified to all parties' satisfaction. Okay. And I got one more. Oh, no, that's not the right one. Let me come back. Here it is right here. Fair use notice. All right, let me blow that up. Fair use notice, family. Due to the social nature of this site, we are utilizing fair use in accordance with Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107. All right, offering this information to the public for educational and informational purposes solely. All right, let me stop my screen share there. Okay, let me stop my screen share there. Okay. Okay, like Sister Empress is coming back on board, beaming back in. All right, all right. All right, Sister Empress, I'm not sure if you were able to hear our last video clip or if you had any additional comments on that.
Okay, the last clip I heard was our sister you were calling the queen. Okay, so, again, we have made so many accomplishments, and what I like about what's happening today is we're really not backing down. Not that we really did in any time, but now it's like a real kind of even more aggressive or more no-nonsense position, and I love it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, okay. All right, so with that being said, we took care of our quick housekeeping. All right, so with that, we are going to jump into our next clip and be able to share that. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen with our next clip. Okay. All right. So yeah, we're gonna dig in a little bit more, family, into some of the roots and history of some of our most acclaimed genres of music. All right. Possibly some lesser known history as it pertains to the origin of some of these genres of music. All right. Now we talked about one of the foremothers. Okay. We talked about our sister Rosetta Tharpe. So now we're going to tap in and see about what's going on with the brothers and their contributions. Okay, now we sticking on the same topic and subject matter of what is known as rock and roll. All right, let me pull that up and then let me share my screen here. Okay, there's a few names that folks should know and be familiar with when we're talking about the origins of rock and roll music. All right, let me share my screen here. All right, now we just heard about our sister Rosetta Tharpe. Now we're going to come to our brother, our ancestor, Chuck Berry. All right, for all those who don't know. All right. All right. So that is a quick clip on our brother Chuck Berry. All right. One of the forefathers of rock and roll music. Okay. Let me add Brother Pollinator back to the stage. Okay. All right. So we got our sister Rosetta Tharpe. We got our ancestor, our sister Rosetta Tharpe. We got our ancestor, our brother Chuck Berry. Okay. So just making sure, family, we know our history. All right. We know what's going on as it pertains to the development of music and how, our folks contributed to that development. Okay. All right. Let me jump to our next clip. Let me come to the Dear Journalist real quick. Any quick additions? I'm gonna stay on this roll for a hot tick. I got a couple of clips that we want to share just based on the origination of rock and roll music.
Hey, I'm good. You keep this Soul Train music moving for me.
All right.
Yep,
Excellent.
me too.
Excellent. All right, let's keep it rolling. All right, let's go to our next contestant. All right, talking about the origination of rock and roll. All right, let me share my screen. Now, folks might be a little bit more familiar with this brother here. All right, he's a little bit more well-known, a little bit more vocal, and a little bit more controversial. All right, let's come on over to our brother and check out what he has to say about some of this, or the origins of rock and roll music.
But let me say this about the Beatles. Right. I took the Beatles on the school. They was making $50 a week a person. God bless the Beatles, and he did. I used to have to buy their steaks every day when we had steak. Yeah. John Leonard would come up and make all these big bills, and I had to pay them. I had the Beatles, I had Jerry and the Pacemakers, and a group called the Swingin' Blue Jeans. I had Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. He made his first tour. Nobody never heard of these people.
Do these people send you a Christmas card?
They send me more than Christmas cards. They're my friends. I really don't want... I don't want anything from them. All I want them to do is to spread what they got from me. You know, God gave it to me and they got it from me. So just carry the good word over the world. That's all. I don't want nothing. I just want them to do what's right. Like James Brown, he was my singer in my band. He was with me. Joe Tex was my singer. Otis Reddings. Jimi Hendrix was my guitar player for 4 years. But you never hear about all of this from me. You know, everybody said, well, what did he do? I did it all, but nobody know nothing about it.
I wish.
And that's the way it happens when you're Jewish. They do you like that. But let me say this about the Beatles.
Okay, let me stop my screen share there. All right. He naming the names. He giving it up. Let's hear from him one more again. All right, let me come back to our brother Little Richard and get some additions to this narrative. All right, let me share my screen. Okay. Let me get my screen share correct. Let's go.
And did you know that Elvis Presley and Pat Boone sold more of Tutti Frutti than I did? And I wrote it and sung it.
Did that bother you?
No, it didn't. It made me feel good. They opened the door that was locked and I couldn't get in. And I took the Beatles and Mick Jagger with me. Mick Jagger was living on a truck. I had Jimi Hendrix playing guitar for me. I had Billy Preston on the organ, James Brown, and Joe Tex was my vocalist. I had all of them. That's the reason I'm the king. All of them came from me. Poor little old bitty me, a little Jewish boy, black bottom from Georgia. And did you know that Elvis Presley and Pat Boone sold more?
Very, very interesting. Very interesting information. Let me come back over. Let me come back over to the Ethereal Journalist and get some additions on that. What say you? What do y'all think about these revelations?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you one thing that I certainly didn't know. He was a little Jewish boy.
Hey, what about that part? I wanted to make sure I highlighted that. Yes.
Yeah.
Hold on. Run that back. Run that back. Run that back.
Oh, you ain't catch that part, huh? Okay,
No,
yeah.
run it back.
Let me run it back one more again. Yeah. I wanted to make sure I highlighted that clip specifically for that reason. All right, let's go back to it. Say that once again, family. Let's see what Little Richard has to say.
And did you know that Elvis Presley and Pat Boone sold more Tutti Frutti than I did? And I wrote it and sung it.
Did that bother you?
No, it didn't. It made me feel good. They opened the door that was locked and I couldn't get in. And I took the Beatles and Mick Jagger with me. Mick Jagger was living on a truck. I had Jimi Hendrix playing guitar for me. I had Billy Preston on the organ, James Brown, and Joe Tex was my vocalist. I had all of them. That's the reason I'm the king. All of them came from me. Poor little old bitty me, a little Jewish boy, black bottom from Georgia. And did you know that Elvis Presley and Pat Boone sold more of Tutti
Say it one more
Frutti
time.
than I did? And I wrote it and sung it.
Did that bother you?
No, it didn't. It made me feel good. They opened the door that was locked and I couldn't get in. And I took the Beatles and Mick Jagger with me. Mick Jagger was living on a truck. I had Jimi Hendrix playing guitar for me. I had Billy Preston on the organ, James Brown, and Joe Tex was my vocalist. I had all of them. That's the reason I'm the king. All of them came from me. Poor little old bitty me, a little Jewish boy, black bottom from Georgia. And did you?
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
Stop my screen share there. He was dropping gems.
Yeah.
Dropping gems.
And
okay.
and he was kindly, he was kind of opening up the doorway to let the pseudo ones, as well as the ones that don't know that there's some of their heritage in this country, that he is Jewish. In other words, he comes from a black Hebrew lineage. He obviously knows his talent and his gifts that come from that bloodline, that royal bloodline and lineage. That's one of the things that I got out of it as well, because we have to start looking at who we are, connecting those dots back to West Africa, because West Africa and the Shantes, the Limbu, the Bantu, the Ibu, all of them were musical geniuses. Those tribes were all part of the what we call the lower part of the southern kingdom of the Hebrews, the real original Shemitic Hebrews. And see, that's one thing that when you connect those dots, you'll know where our music history comes from. That's why a lot of the Hollywood Jews, they try to exploit that because they know they don't come from those bloodlines and lineages that create like that. They only control it here in the music industry as well as within, you know, all of the madness and the entertainment and music, or the entertainment and music business. But they know who we are as a people. And I'm glad he said that, because a lot of Black people that are in this country, some of them come from the bloodlines and lineages of the ones that were already here, who were from those Shemitic bloodlines and lineages. But the ones that came in on the transatlantic slave trade, that came through the gateway to what they call it, when you finally leave Ghana, I forgot the name of the place, what they call it, the point of no return. Those people were from those bloodlines and lineages. And that is a lot of us here today. Why do you think a lot of people in the Caribbean are into Rasta music, or they got that great music for reggae? Because they are from the tribe of Benjamin. A lot of those brothers in the reggae business, their last names are Benjamin, from the tribe of Benjamin, because the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin, they camped together in the southern kingdom of Israel, of the 12 tribes. So now, you know, we got to connect those historical dots. Yeah, you could claim you're a Hamite or you from Egypt, and that's fine, but I don't, because I know my bloodline, whether it came from the Choctaws who are already here or from those ones that came in on the transatlantic slave trade on one side of my family. So we got it all. We cover it all. And it ain't the fake ones that run Hollywood and all the other businesses that exploit our entertainment, exploit our talent, exploit our creativity. They know who we are as a people. And that truth is coming out now. So people need to start realizing who we are as a people. We just didn't come from, that we don't have no roots, or we don't know where we come from. Little Richard just said what he said. But he said he was a country boy as well. So I yield.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you for that addition, Brother Pollinator. All right. Any additions, Sister Empress?
So before we close out, I really want to kind of go over this phrase rock and roll, because it has a really interesting history and how it evolved into a more first kind of derogative thing, and then developed more into a more positive thing, which is what happens with a lot of our stuff. But there is a history there, right? That at some point we'll go more into before tonight's program is over. But the thing I want to add about the situation with Little Richard is, you know, when you look at the so-called Beatles and I think the other one was the Rolling Stone, Mick Jagger, they even tried to act like Black folk, particularly Mick Jagger, with his body and things of that nature. So, you know, and even with the Beatles, the one particular song, "We Love You," yeah, and then they did the little ooh like Little Richard used to do. So it's clearly there. And again, I'm just glad we are now in a time where we're taking our stuff back, we're doing Sankofa and bringing it forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is most
Great
definitely
point, Sister Chi.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see what we got next on the lineup.
You ever heard of the term, when you said something about rock, you ever heard of the term rock of ages, cleft for me?
Oh, absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
was one of the gospel songs in some of the old school churches and some rock of ages.
Yeah, there were a couple.
Yeah, and one of the great mothers' names. I'm sorry, what you say, Sister Chi?
No, I was just saying, there's a couple of songs that come from, you know, use those phrases. But we're going to go back to that before we close out.
Oh yeah. Rock of ages, cleft for me.
Okay, all right. So let me keep it rolling. All right, let's go to our next clip. Okay. Now we kind of coming down the line and coming through the hands of time, all right, as it pertains to Black music. Now let's shift and transition really quickly into pop music, all right? And let's touch base with some information from or on the King of Pop. All right, let me share my screen.
Simple overdose? Then listen to this.
Michael Jackson enraged his masters at Sony when he wrote a song called Don't Cry Palestine. The Zionist mafia in control of the music industry marked him for destruction when he began calling them out in public, exposing their crimes.
Ago to revise the lyrics to his song They Don't Care About Us, lyrics many called anti-Semitic. Last year he angered Jewish groups when he sang these words.
I'm shocked. Jew me, sue me, type me. Those are the words that he told us that he would never use again.
The bigger he has gotten, the bigger the shots. And of course, as I said, when Christ did things to free the oppressed people, and they tried to destroy him also.
Except don't like leeches. I'm so tired of it. They start out the most popular person in the world, make a lot of money, big house, cars, and everything, end up with penniless. It is conspiracy. The Jews do it on purpose.
Companies really, really do conspire against their artists. They steal, they cheat, they do whatever they can, especially the black artists. Sony, Tommy Mottola. Tommy Mottola is the president of the record division. He is a mean, he's a racist, and he's very, very, very devilish.
And just like Charlie, Michael knew when they were coming for him. His final phone call, the night before he died, has been suppressed for years. And when you hear it, you'll understand why they're desperate to keep it under wraps.
Listen carefully. He was being gang stalked.
There may be a group of people that want to get rid of me. You don't want me here anymore.
I don't understand. What do you mean? Talk to me.
Talk about it. Always involved. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just feel in my soul, only God knows, they could shoot me. They could stab me. They could free me and say I overdosed on drugs. They can do a lot of things.
Who could do this?
It's not the government. It's for the government.
Michael, Butterfly, this is for you. Follow for more and see how deep the rabbit hole really goes. Still believe Michael Jackson was a simple overdose? Then listen to this.
Michael.
All right. Let me stop my screen share there. Okay. And let me come back to the Ethereal Journalist for any additions.
Wow, that was deep. You know that, and interestingly enough, that was one of my favorites that he did. Didn't really care about us. And you know, anyone that saw the video was incredible, or is incredible. Shot in Brazil, and he used a battery. I mean, a extensive battery of drummers. And so, you know, the compilation of the word put into the musical percussion aspect of things was just, it was ingenious. And it really hit to the point that he was making, because when you have that many drums, this is why even in terms of war, you know, or in earlier days, particularly here in the US and other places, the drummers would go out first, you know, before the war would actually begin. So he really, you know, he really kind of, as far as I'm concerned, set the tone.
Indeed. Okay, Brother Pollinator is back. Let me bring him back on the stage. All right, Brother Pollinator, I'm not sure, like you dropped off for a second there. I'm not sure if you were able to see the last clip that we played.
The MJ clip?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was trying to listen to it on YouTube since my dang going Wi-Fi and the StreamYard thing started acting up. So I said, man, let me go back and get closer to the Wi-Fi so I could get this daggone signal together. Because it's, you know, as you know, and I don't know if we're going to get into it tonight, there's a lot of stuff going on in the atmosphere, a lot of CMEs hitting the earth, and it's causing a lot of disruption all over the country or the world from them X-flares that just came off the sun that are now starting to hit the earth. But MJ was a muse, man. He was magical. He was, you know, he was one of those ones that came, saw, and conquered. He knew what his mission was. He knew what his assignment was. And I think I remember the part where they say, Jew me, sue me, kick me, kike me, and all that. He was letting them know, y'all ain't going to sit up here and try to perpetrate like y'all the true people of the book, because you know who is. Y'all call yourselves Jews, but y'all ain't from the land of Judea, which we know is in the continent of Africa. The land of Judea was mostly and all Shemitic, Black, and Hebrew people of the carbonated bloodlines and lineages. So therefore, he understood that, and they knew he was starting to talk about these things and expose them during the time he had made that song. That's why they gave him such a hard, rebuttal back, because he was exposing them. He was dragging that demon out in the middle of the doggone open and saying, y'all ain't who y'all claim to be. Y'all destiny swapped with a whole nation of people who at the time were under a curse, that 400-year curse. So they were just siphoning our energy and destiny swapping with a whole nation of people. And when he started to expose that, they got into his behind, because they're like, hey, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Just don't pay attention behind that. Just keep on looking at the screen and those shiny objects. He exposed that, just like Kyrie Irving tried to recently expose that, as well as Nick Cannon, and they shut him down. They really didn't shut Kyrie down. He just said, you know, whatever, I can play ball anywhere I want to, but he had already made his coins anyway, so he didn't give a damn. So that's one thing I could credit Michael Jackson for doing, because he came up against people who had stolen our legacy, our culture, and appropriated our faith, or our actual, not even our faith, our essence of who we are as the real people of all books, hieroglyphics, scrolls, scriptures, whatever you want to say, the Dead Sea Scroll. That all talked about us, not the Khazarians who came from out of Eastern Europe, who became the Ashkenazis, who adopted the faith of the Hebrew faith. They're not the real true people of the books. So let's be real about that. Michael Jackson was a muse. He was here to tell the truth, and damn the devil. I yield.
Indeed. All right, much appreciated. Thank you for that addition, Brother Pollinator. Okay. All right, with that being said, let's keep this ball rolling. Give a quick shout out to those tapped in once again through our YouTube live link. So shout out to Brother Dre, Sister Mary, and Brother Chief Elder. All right. John Henry. All right. Shout out to the Chief Elder. All right. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for tapping in where you could and where you can on this Ethereal Journey podcast. Much appreciated. All right. With that being said, let's get back into the mix, and let me jump into this next story. All right. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. All right. So the recent passing. Okay. All right. Where's the brother at? Right here. Okay. So the recent passing of Grammy-winning songwriter who actually was stabbed to death in London at the age of 35. All right. This past Friday, Mark Orabi Okay, worked on music for major artists including Dua Lipa, Zendaya, Khalid, The Chainsmokers, Her, Kalani, Chris Brown, Nick Jonas, Britney Spears, and others. All right, so rest in power to our brother, brother Mark, for his tremendous contributions to the music industry and to black music. All right, so shout out, triple salute to the fallen brother, brother Mark Orabi. Okay.
Prior to us getting the research on this brother, did anybody even know this dude was behind all those major artists or anything? Anybody?
Until he passed, I had no idea he existed. I'm not gonna lie, no idea.
How about you, Sister Chi?
Nope, me either.
Grammy-winning songwriter. You know, a songwriter is the nuts and bolts of any musician or any performing artist is creed or whatever they do to try to make their coins. The songwriter is the one that puts the dots or connects the dots of the music that matches up with what their performances are going to be. So it's amazing that was the first time when I saw it. I'm like, who is this dude? And I said, oh, we got to talk about this since it's Black Music Month, because this dude is a Grammy-winning songwriter and nobody knows of him and who he is until, he gets unalived by somebody, that put a dagger in him. And that's sad that, we learn the things after sometimes people, are transitioning up out of this matrix, this 3D realm, and moving on to the next realm or dimension, wherever they are. And it's sad that I didn't even know who this dude was, but all those major artists, black and white and whomever else, come on, man.
Right, black, white, and in between.
Yeah, never heard of the dude. But that's how much they try to hide our accomplishments in the background and not promote these people to let them know we are the same ones behind. Did y'all know that? Who was it? What's the boy from EST? I think it's EST, the Nicholas one. He wrote a lot of Destiny Child's hits, and he's from out of Philadelphia.
Wow, baby EST. I think he's a DJ, right?
No, EST, the Act Nicholas one. What's his doggone real name? Oh man, but he was down with 3 Times Dope.
Okay. I thought he did DJing as well. I might be mistaken, but okay, yeah.
Yeah, but he wrote a lot of the songs and got paid majorly on Destiny's Child's music. And he came out of Philly as a hip hop, with EST, the Act Nicholas one with 3 Times Dope in them. Yeah, man. So yeah, it's amazing how these songwriters get paid, but you never hear enough about them that they're the ones that are behind these great hits. Some of these so-called celebrities or stars that are on the front line are being, are putting out there to the masses. So yeah, I just wanted to make that point.
Yes, sir. All right, thanks for that addition, Brother Pollinator. Okay, now I got another one for you because, you know what I mean? You brought that to the table, and so I said, well, let me go ahead and call. You know what I mean? I had to call your hand. So let me go ahead and share my screen on this one. All right, it's another. Again, I just was doing a little bit further research since you have pulled that up and brought that to my attention. I said, what else is going on in recent events that I might not be aware of? Now, this sister passed just a couple of days ago. Okay. And I had no idea about her contributions. All right, so let's jump into it. Let me see, where is the
visionary founder of the MOBO Awards has died at the age. Kanya King, the visionary founder of the MOBO Awards, has died at the age of 57 after a courageous battle with colon cancer. King launched the Music of Black Origin Awards in 1996, creating a platform that helped transform Black British music and elevate artists such as Stormzy, Craig David, Little Sims, and many others. A single mother who famously remortgaged her home to fund the first MOBO Awards, she went on to become one of the most influential figures in British music and culture. Tributes have poured in from across the music world, with stars praising her vision, determination, and lasting impact on generations of artists. Rest in power, Kanye King. Kanye King, the visionary founder.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Matter of fact, I got one more for y'all. Let me play this next one in succession. This is on the same sister, but this is just another just additional information, another perspective. All right, so let me go ahead and share that when I come back to the Ethereal Journalist to get your feedback on this very important, influential sister as it pertains to the black music scene across the pond, because we still going there. The other brother, he was from London as well. Okay, and so I had no idea. I never even heard of the Mobile Awards. Okay, all right. So let me play this next one, and I'll come back to the Ethereal Journalist for the commentary. All right, let me share my screen one more again. I seen one said 57. I seen another said that she was 61. So I got to do some fact checking to see what the precise age is, family. So hopefully I'll pull it up shortly. All right, but rest in power to our sister, our dearly departed sister Kanye King.
Do you know why it hurts so much that Kanye King, founder of the Mobos, has died? It turns out when you speak about music in the UK, you're really speaking about black people. Black music accounts for 80% of all UK revenue the last 30 years. But something strange was going on. They were only giving awards to white people for the longest time, despite the fact black people were dominating. So Kanye King came up with an idea. Instead of begging white people to recognize the very obvious, very tangible achievements of black people, why don't we celebrate ourselves? Music of black origin. Now, for some people, this is a problem. You see, black parents often tell black kids, you have to work twice as hard as your white counterparts. For years, people like me said, no, fellas, all we have to do is be excellent and we'll be recognized for our achievements. As we age, we learn the truth and we start supporting all she did, even if we were a bit late to the party. Do you know how many artists got noticed first because they won a Mobo? Kanye King, rest in perfect power. Thank you for doing what was necessary for black people. Do you know?
Let me stop my screen share there. Now let me bring it back to you, brother Pollinator. Was you aware of the sister Kanye King?
Clueless of her existence.
You see what I'm saying?
Clueless.
Touche. Okay.
You know. And you know, we learn, you know, that's the beautiful thing about us as people. We learn every day because we're humble enough to say we don't know it all.
Facts.
Yeah. We're humble enough to say, man, if I could just have 0.000 a million to one on 1% of what I could know in the universe, I'll be flying around here right now. Y'all be sitting up there. I'll be sitting up there next to y'all right now, transporting. But we slowly gain our memory back by remembering those and honoring those who have done major contribution, even though we have never heard of them. So now that we're hearing of them, it gives us hope that we're not just some kind of lost people that don't know our way, can't find our way back home, and to increase our presence, to give to the masses our love, our pollinations, and all the creative abilities and gifts that we got from our great mother of the universe. Oh, I see you putting that thing up too about the rapper. Yeah, I had to go make sure I wasn't putting out some misinformation, so I had to go make sure and check that out. But that's the brother right there, EST Robert. His real name is Robert Waller, and I thought he was for Destiny Child, but it was for her first Dangerously in Love album in 03. 3 hits. Philadelphia's own rapper EST, the Act Nicholas one. You know, so these are the things that a lot of people don't know about, And it's a good thing that we all are growing and learning and sharing together as we continue to transcend, ascend, and move towards our greatest expression and versions of ourselves. I yield.
Indeed, indeed. Very important, family, for us to be able to come and say, I didn't know, or I was wrong, or I was ill informed. Because this process is to help us to continue to learn, grow, and develop. It's okay to not be correct. It's okay to be wrong. All right. Once we're supposed to change. Once we get to new information, once we are introduced to additional ideas, then it should allow us to grow, to build, to be able to shift our perspectives based on this new found information. All right. We can't be so egotistical as to think we know it all or we got it all together. No, we can continue to learn, grow, and develop until we perish, until we leave from this plane of existence. And that should be the mission. Life is learning is a lifelong process. That's one of my mantras, one of my mottos. All right,
Big truth and facts. Big truth and facts.
yes, sir. Let me call over to Sister Empress for any additions on this.
Oh yeah, just powerful information. Powerful information, and I too did never heard of this sister. So this is why, again, in this day and age, there's really not a lot of excuses about certain things anymore, because again, the information is so readily available. But I think in the future, this is what's going to help to differentiate kind of who is really who and who's really about what. Because again, to know certain things or to strive to know certain things now in this day and age is really going to be a determining factor, I think, for the future. But also with what we are now learning, at least for me, it points out the necessity to, again, develop our own everything. We have that capability to a greater extent. And that means to be able to document and teach and train our stuff. I mean, with what we're learning, what we should also be learning and knowing is we've got to institutionalize everything that is of reality. We've got to be the ones that are in control of it, for lack of a better terminology. We've got to be the ones to administrate it, to document it, and so forth. That's what tonight's program really just helps to reinforce for me, that reality. And lastly, we can't just do it with organizations. That has been shown to us very clearly over the past 100 years. That's why nation building must be the call of the day.
I say.
Here. And I just want to piggyback on what Empress Chi just said as well, because what it is it's an intentional attempt to hide our greatness as a people and a nation, when we don't even know people like we've just shown, who were great contributors to the industries that we currently all listen to, whether it's on the music stations, on YouTube. These people should be honored and we should know them. But there's been an intentional attempt to hide our greatness, whether it was the burning of all of our books, the burning of our great temples, our great places of learning. It's always been an intentional attempt to destroy our greatness and as a people and as a nation. But guess what? Those times are over. Everything, the truth is being pressed into the earth, and it is rising above all of the lies, deception, illusions, and delusions that have been perpetrated, not only just against our own people to keep us blinded, but against the other nations of people who are now starting to realize who we are and the greatness of who we are as a people and as a nation. I yield.
Absolutely. All right, family. So let's jump right back into it. And let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, now we're going to touch base with this brother. Okay, still in our black music bag, and just a compelling performance by this brother here. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me share my screen and share the work of the good brother. Okay. And this is the brother Nassan with 360.
Hey yo, once upon a time had a dream I was a slave to a man in a Manhattan building without a name. He told me when to eat shit, sleep, and when to bathe, how to behave, things that I could and I couldn't say. On the bright side, the slavery actually paid. They just kept the dollars and gave me all the change. Shackled from the bones of my collar down to my waist. I was amazed because they put diamonds inside my chains. Devil horn man with a pale white face trying to change my fate. Said if we just handshake. Often he would offer me a private estate with a fountain and gate and told me you be bigger than Drake. Said he loved poor black man and he never tricked me. If anything, he gets me and only trying to uplift me. Said he had a whole bunch of money he's trying to send me. We even made a deal, he called it 360. I never heard of it. But everything I made, he would take and always give me back a third of it. I figured that was generous, the realest shit, since he's in his office working just so I could benefit. Oh, I remember this dream, it was vivid. It almost feels like every fucking day I live it. The last thing I seen, it was clear to me as an image. Could probably break it down real good and get descriptive. The last thing that happened, I was rapping in a way that felt distracting. In a dazzle Detroit fitted with a black racing jacket filled with patches, trying to teach you and my people that the industry is made for our demise and our descent is deceitful. Niggas at these labels, not your family, friends, or equals. Master made me feel like my only job was to please you and had me doing a bunch of shit I never would agree to, but nobody was listening. Cause I ain't mentioning money, car, clothes, holes, or chains glistening. So I said, fuck it, let's keep the cycle continuing. And then I woke up from the dream because I pissed on myself.
Okay.
360.
360. All right. That was the brother Nassan with his lyrical fitness exercise with his poem 360. All right.
Lyrical acrobatics, lyrical gymnastics, lyrical just expertise as a subject matter expert and able to put it in a rhyme scheme like that. You got to appreciate that.
Absolutely. And, you know, with addition, the visual performance.
Whoa.
Right? Because while, you know, there was things happening, you know, in that whole scene while he was performing. You know, he was in a box.
Mm-hmm.
He also had his handler behind him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, coaxed him along. And he was also, you know, visibly shackled.
Mm.
Okay, which in a lot of cases is what happens. You know, when it pertains to some of these artists and getting into these contracts. All right. Now he was specifically highlighting the 360 deal.
Yeah.
All right, which is infamous for robbing artists.
Mm-hmm.
Majority of those artists are, you know, black artists. Okay.
Oh, you don't hear too many. You don't hear too many other nations of people's artists getting robbed like our people do. You know, you don't hear too many other people, whether it's Chinese, Puerto Rican, white, whatever you want to call those nations of people. You don't hear them getting straight ganked and straight jack like we do. Can you imagine all the money if we could collect if we were given our rightful just due on content that we created? We probably have more multimillionaires walking around here right now.
Right. Let alone reparations. We didn't get to the reparations conversation just yet. But if we were just compensated on our contributions, you know, all of the things that were stolen, all the inventions, all the IP, all the intellectual property, you know, the songs, the publishing, the writing, you know, so on and so forth. You know, some of our artifacts, you know, if we just got accreditation and got compensation for those things, you know, our economical power would increase exponentially.
Yeah, and you look at the history of what has been done and done to major artists such as Prince, who had to change his name and become a symbol because they were ganking him. You know, who else? Major artists, even Michael Jackson, who had to actually buy it out so he can own the rights to distribute and own his own, you know, his own tracks, his own, you know, music. You know, it's crazy how even the great ones, they tried, you know, they probably lost billions or millions of dollars off of these culture bandits, off of these vampire energy vampires who siphoned their creativity and did not give them the just amounts of income that they deserve for being the creators of their material. You know, Ancestor Dale Jones talked about these culture bandits, these energy vampires. So I hear you, Sister J. Renee. Absolutely.
So I don't know if Sister Empress has anything else to add on to that. I say, Brother Dre, I say, absolutely. I don't know if Sister Empress got anything any sauce to add on that. All right, if not, I'm gonna keep it rolling.
No, go ahead, Brother Mumba.
Okay. All right. All right. So with that being said, let me come to our next clip, and let me go ahead and share the screen on that. And this is again from our sister. We did highlight one of her performances previously with her freestyle. I believe it was "If I Ruled the World" freestyle. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah. That's the sister from out of Philly, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I love her. I love her content. I love her lyrical dexterity, as they would call it in the hip hop.
Indeed. All right, so let me share the sister because she's coming in speaking a bit more on aspects of the music industry. All right, and dealing with being an independent artist. All right, so we want to make sure folks is abreast and aware of the different legalities and the different avenues that one can take in order to, be able to market, promote, and distribute your music, your intellectual property, and how to maintain control over it. We have an upcoming class with our brother Chris Nelson. All right, that'll probably be, I believe, September. That's going to be geared up for. We're going to be having Introduction to Music 101. All right, he's going to be talking about some of these things, talking about music theory, developing vocal skills and abilities. He's going to be teaching that. He's going to be teaching instrumentation. All right, fundamentals on the keys. Okay. He's also going to be teaching aspects of entrepreneurship and business, copyrights. All right, and trademarks. All right, and the things that you're going to need in order to secure your rights, secure your publishing, right? And so forth. It being in control of your intellectual property and making sure you maintain control of your masters and so on and so forth. Okay, and how you can negotiate as far as distribution and other things and still maintain your intellectual property. All right, so let's jump into so stay tuned for that, family, and tap in with us as we continue to build. All right, with that being said, let me jump into this clip here.
Here's how I sold 300 copies of my album Medicine Music 2 in 53 days. Now, first things first, your packaging matters, okay? The packaging is just as important as the music. You want it to be aesthetically pleasing. You want it to be packaged well for people to feel like you actually are caring about their experience overall. So not only did we sell these mini CDs, but we sold medicine bottles with the music in it, and I partnered with a business called Prodigy to also sell mini vinyls. I have actual vinyls that you can play on the record player, and they're custom. You know what I mean? It's not like everything else that you might go find in the record store, but the quality is just as great. Packaging matters, and the way that you distribute it matters. Instead of me just putting all my music on one platform, I decided to look at it as if my music was in multiple stores. So live shows, that's a store. My reels and my digital presence, that's a store. Linktree, that's a store. Even.biz, that's a store. These are all ways that I looked at putting my music in different places to expand the visibility of the art. Every time someone bought my album, especially through Linktree, I would send them an email directly or a text message directly to let them know that I was grateful for their support, because that's important. As an artist, you know what I mean? People are spending their hard-earned money to support something that you're doing. The least you can do is show your gratitude. Lastly, me posting reels and stuff consistently is all about the community that's built and the people that believe in your vision enough to trust it and invest in what you got going on. Stay consistent. Keep pushing forward, because somebody is watching, and somebody that believes in what you're doing, they will take heed to it. I intentionally did not stream this album on DSPs. And this is because really streaming platforms pay pennies on a dollar, you know what I'm saying, per stream. Me selling one album is already making more than many artists make in their monthly plays, especially if you don't have playlisting, you don't have sync, you don't have things like that. So I wanted to make sure that the same effort that I was putting in, investing in my music, I was also able to receive that love back and make space for that. Now, the album will eventually be out. I can't tell y'all when. I'll make a decision on when I'm gonna do that. But, if you're interested in supporting medicine music, you can click the link in my bio. I prefer the first tab, but you know what I'm saying? Feel free to explore, and just know that the music is in multiple places. For all the artists that's watching this, like, just keep going, stay consistent, stay dedicated, because as long as you're evolving in your craft, and as long as you're putting your best foot forward, it's only a matter of time before something breaks for you. Here's how I sold 300 copies of my album Medicine Music 2 in 53 days. Now,
I'm gonna let it rock one more time, family, because she was going fast, and there's a lot of information that she was putting out there. So I want to make sure that y'all picking up what she putting down. Let me let it rock one more again.
first things first, your packaging matters, okay? The packaging is just as important as the music. You want it to be aesthetically pleasing. You want it to be packaged well for people to feel like you actually are caring about their experience overall. So not only did we sell these mini CDs, but we sold medicine bottles with the music in it, and I partnered with a business called Prodigy to also sell mini vinyls. I have actual vinyls that you can play on the record player, and they're custom. You know what I mean? It's not like everything else that you might go find in a record store, but the quality is just as great. Packaging matters, and the way that you distribute it matters. Instead of me just putting all my music on one platform, I decided to look at it as if my music was in multiple stores. So live shows, that's a store. My reels and my digital presence, that's a store. Linktree, that's a store. Even.biz, that's a store. These are all ways that I looked at putting my music in different places to expand the visibility of the art. Every time someone bought my album, especially through Linktree, I would send them an email directly or a text message directly to let them know that I was grateful for their support, because that's important. As an artist, you know what I mean? People are spending their hard-earned money to support something that you're doing. The least you can do is show your gratitude. Lastly, you know, me posting reels and stuff consistently is all about the community that's built and the people that believe in your vision enough to trust it and invest in what you got going on. Stay consistent. Keep pushing forward, because somebody is watching, and somebody that believes in what you're doing, they will take heed to it. I intentionally did not stream this album on DSPs. And this is because really streaming platforms pay pennies on a dollar, you know what I'm saying, per stream. Me selling one album is already making more than many artists make in their monthly plays, especially if you don't have playlisting, you don't have sync, you don't have things like that. So I wanted to make sure that the same effort that I was putting in, investing in my music, I was also able to receive that love back and make space for that. Now, the album will eventually be out. I can't tell y'all when. I'll make a decision on when I'm gonna do that. But, you know, if you're interested in supporting medicine music, you can click the link in my bio. I prefer the first tab, but, you know what I'm saying, feel free to explore and just know that the music is in multiple places. For all the artists that's watching this, like, just keep going, stay consistent, stay dedicated, because as long as you're evolving in your craft and as long as you're putting your best foot forward, it's only a matter of time before something breaks for you. Here's how I sold 3.
All right, let me stop it there. Let me stop my screen share there. Okay. All right, so just a little bit, a few tidbits, a little word of advice from an up-and-coming artist. Shout out to the sister Neptune 21. All right, we looking to connect. All right, so you know we reaching out, and you know we want to connect and be able to build with you, collaborate to as an artist for our Ubuntu Justice Jubilee. All right, so anyone that might be, you know, in contact with her or, you know, in close proximity, you know, send her this information, send her this shout out, you know what I mean? So we can begin to connect and build towards this project, all right, with the Ubuntu Justice Jubilee, fight for Black human rights and reparatory justice. All right, let me open up the floor to the journalists for any additions.
I yield to Sister Chief first if you have any commentary, Sister Chief.
Well, you know, again, just that with the Ubuntu initiative, I think we're going to be covering a lot of ground, and what the sister just conveyed to us certainly is some of the kinds of things that we're going to be providing. I mean, it's not just about the art, you know, the performing aspect of things. We want to make sure that we're able to, again, control or have the capability to make certain that whatever we're doing, we are the owners of it, we are the holders of it, and so forth. So I really appreciate that video, that information. And again, that is what we're now building. I think Brother Lumumba mentioned maybe a week or so ago, the artist union that is getting ready to be formed. You know, this is very revolutionary, or as we say, evolutionary, to be able to develop the components that will enable us to do the kind of operations as we move forward that will secure not only what we're building now, but making certain that we can sustain it and then enable it to grow and develop for the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, all right. All right, family, with that being said, let's keep it rolling. And let me come to my next.
Oh, let me just shout out. Let me shout out Sister Neptune 21, because you know, she was kicking some straight up Sophia, aka wisdom, concerning how she's using her own independent creativity to distribute her art form, her music, as she said. And you got to appreciate that, because there's not just one way of doing it. There's multiple. We got a million ways to do one thing and still get it done. That's how much creativity we have within our own DNA, DEA, deoxyetheric acid, as the gods and goddesses in this earth right now. And I appreciate that she's taking the route that she's taken and not selling herself to the people that whom she know will put her in that 360 degree deal, and she'll be surrounded by nothing but devils and vultures and daggone buzzards that ain't gonna do nothing but eat away at her talent and creativity and just siphon her and do all the things that they've been doing to most of our artists throughout the last few decades, at least the ones that are in charge of these so-called music industry companies. I yield.
Indeed. All right. Thank you for that addition, Brother Pollinator. Okay. All right, let me come to my next clip, and let's keep this thing rolling, all right, on this ethereal journey. Okay.
Big truth, Brother Dre, big truth.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let me share my screen. Share my screen here. And let's get to our next clip. Now, this is a little bit of controversy that's been circling around the internets. All right. And some outspoken and what a lot are calling outlandish claims from the recently released Max B. All right. New York rapper. All right. Who has something to say about Big Daddy Kane. All right. And some of the legends of hip hop. Let's take a listen.
Listen, after Big J and Nas, you could put me anywhere on that right after that. That's how I feel about it.
Anyway,
and I can prove it.
Don't say
I
90
can prove it.
Had a three-year run.
What is a run? Because Kane and them been running since they started. They ain't stopped running.
Who, Kane?
Big Daddy Kane.
Where Kane at? I ain't see Kane. The last time you saw Big Daddy Kane.
Come on, man, don't do that shit.
I just did 18 years like you. I ain't see Kane. Kane wasn't even on the kiosk. What you talking about? Yeah, Big Daddy Kane. What the?
This is a legend. This is a legend. Hold up. Hey, Max B, where you at? I don't know where you at. Stop what you doing. Report to the front of the stage, Max B.
Nah, Max B got the entire internet arguing right now after saying he's more influential than DMX and Big Daddy Kane, and Wallow was not letting that slide.
Hey, Max B, where you at? I don't know where you at. Stop what you doing. Report to the front of the stage, Max B. Come here real quick. Come here. Legend want to talk to you.
That big style caller coming from the Brooklyn. It's still making look good. I get that. Only way I know it.
Now, this is where people started getting heated because Max basically saying Big Daddy Kane wasn't even impacting his generation like that. And Wallow basically responded without responding, posting his legendary Kane.
Come here. Legend want to talk to you.
Yo, what's good, man? Hey, Wallow. Look. You my love you. Kane, you my too. Right? But you know when you let me down? Because I was a young boy. I was about 11, 10 when you came out. You was that to that third album. You let me down when I saw it. That's not wavy, baby. Sexual chocolate. I'm on your ass. Ah! Then you showed me the show. That was a nice show. But I don't know where the that was at. Let me show you what New York looked like on the back-to-back Big Avail weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and I ain't been home out this mother 60 days. Bam! Vitamin week.
Now, older hip-hop fans saying Max be tripping, while other people saying influence and legacy are two different things.
Bubba Dawn on the cover. Bringing that for.
Yeah, but Kane. All right, man.
I love Kane.
Shout out to Big Daddy Kane, one of the legends. All right.
Me worked up.
And instead of calming things down, Max B actually doubled down on live.
Got it.
I love X. But you want me to tell you what I said about X in the thing? I said I love first X3. Then after that, he started doing this. Up his legacy a little bit, if you ask me, musically. Because that's what you question his career. You say, yo, X first 3. Don't say that about my Max, like, when you about
DMX. We talking about X, man.
I'm Bigger Val. Listen, hold on. I'm Bigger Val.
Now, I ain't gonna lie, saying you're more influential than DMX and New York is crazy. But Max B has definitely influenced a whole melodic wave, too. I mean, that's the wave god.
I went deaf on the bit.
I went deaf on the bit. All I need is one night.
So what y'all think? Max B bugging, or are people confusing influence with legendary status?
That's not wavy, baby.
Okay. Before we get into it, let's hear a response from our elder statesman in the hip hop, Big Daddy Kane. Let's hear a quick response. Okay. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me pull this up and share my screen one more again. All right, because we got to hear both sides of the court. Even though we did hear a little bit from our brother Wallow, all right, who played just a short clip of a early stage performance of Big Daddy Kane. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen here, family, and let's see what Big Daddy Kane has to say about this.
Straight from the Brooklyn streets where they could see me at. Where it's never easy at, that's the world we be at. Real hitters keep the strap for any type of beef or spat. Make your head tilt back like that a BC hat. That's where we gon' leave you at, make them take a leaky nap. Anytime that we attack, you don't want a piece of that. That thug mentality can be an aphrodisiac. But you're doing too much, homie, please relax. Don't make this animal damage you, animal banish you. Handle you flammable like a match. You do a candle, do a words, I'll be your man. If you plan to do any enamel, go acting against the intangible. You must be sniffing out vinyl. Realize I'm a G, you just side Joe. Realize this might, but not Dino. Samoa, not wino.
Now let's talk about some hip-hop legends, Fat Joe, Max B, and Big Daddy Kane. Recently, Fat Joe went live and sent a message out to Max B, responding to comments Max made on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast about Big Daddy Kane. Fat Joe made it clear you can't disrespect Big Daddy Kane and you can't downplay the man's contribution to hip-hop.
Let me stop my screen share there. All right, let me come back to the ethereal journalist. What say you on this matter? This debate.
Yeah, man, I tell you, that's the beautiful thing about music as well. We very competitive and we try to compare ourselves with other artists, but there's no comparison. Each artist has their own individual style, I think, their own individual way of promoting their lyrics, their dexterity in their lyrics. So to come after somebody in the spirit, it wasn't even in the spirit of competition in my eyes. It was like, you can't compare yourself, like you said, to the legends like that, because why would you even try to put yourself out there? Just stand in your own truth, stand in your own aura, your own light, and just work on yourself versus trying to think that you're above this one or that one, or trying to compare. See, that's where all the madness starts happening and these debates start coming about, and then you start getting these little back and forth, East Coast, West Coast, wars and vibes like it was back when Tupac and Biggie and all of them was going through that, because everybody is on that competition level. But when you are who you are, you stand in that, and there should be no comparison or competition. You're going to get your audience, and your audience is going to appreciate your art form, And the other artists, the same situation, you know? So all of this bickering and backbiting, sometimes it becomes buffoonery, and it's just a way of sensationalizing stuff to get people to, you know, to siphon their attention and energy and get them to come in and try to, you know, talk about what goes on with these individuals. I don't give a flying, you know what, about any of that nonsense, to be honest with you. Because if it ain't trying to uplift our people, if it's not trying to show some knowledge and some wisdom and some education or edutainment, as we say, to me, it's just a bunch of foolishness. And yeah, I listen to it, and you know, I'm in the hip hop game, been in it since the early '90s or whatever. But when it comes to a point of trying to get from that level to another level, I think we get stuck on stupid, or like I say, stuck like Chuck in the muck in a broke down truck, you know. And that's why we only can get these type of battles and these type of arguments. And sometimes it's buffoonery to the highest degree. So yeah, he disrespected Big Daddy Kane, because if you know Big Daddy Kane and his body of work, you should know that that's his body of work. You can't compete with that. You can't even compare to that. So stop trying to do that and putting yourself above DMX and everybody else that he talked about. Straight nonsense. Stay in your lane, bruh. Let your audience appreciate what you've done or are doing, and let's keep it moving. I yield.
Indeed. Thank you for that addition, Brother Pollinator. Let me come over to Sister Empress.
So I look at it probably from a different lens. Like L, personally, I could care less, you know, in terms of not the artistry part, particularly with Big Daddy Kane, because I've always liked him. But I recognize certain other kinds of ploys. And what I mean by that is, you know, certain things are about marketing and PR. And so once you can create a buzz, or once you can create the interest, it can up your sales or up your exposure or what have you. So for me, it's also a tactic that's being applied here to get not only people's attention, but you know, the way things now, the algorithms are important, and to get people to watch your thing on Facebook or it increases your visibility. It increases to some degree your I won't say of course visibility, but also your present day capability to some degree. And so that's kind of what I see with this in some way. It's a way to get people talking, because if you're talking, then again, that helps to up the whole energy of somebody being promoted. I mean, good, bad, or indifferent. You know, there's a saying in certain fields of communication that no news is bad news. You see, and so, you know, knowing those kinds of ins and outs, I see very clearly sometimes the different tactics and angles that people are utilizing. The other thing too that I find interesting is that I think there's going to be a breakthrough, or shall I say, a next step from rap hip hop. Just like we had, you know, again, Big Daddy Kane, Kumo D, and others from that era, from that time period. And then all of a sudden, after a few years afterwards, we ended up with all this garbage, right? And so I think what's getting ready to happen now, that's going to get flushed out to a greater degree. And some other energy is going to come in to replace it. Just like it replaced some other stuff, something's going to come in now to replace it. So I think people like off-white folks, they're grappling, you know, at straws to keep, you know, to stay in the mix. Because they see that they're dying, and so they're trying to create something that will keep them relevant. But again, there's no comparison. Most of us know that know anything about hip hop. There's no comparison to certain artists. I mean, you know, I would dare someone to say something about Rakim or others. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just certain people you're not going to realistically talk about. So for me, again, you know, this is a ploy. This is, you know, just entertainment, another form of entertainment, right? And because now the industry has accepted such low standards. I mean, even in terms of talent. it is just, accepted such a mediocre kind of, the display of stuff that people coming out doing certain things now can do it because it's weak stuff. And so they get pumped up because the acceptance of inferior stuff from a music standpoint, from an artistic standpoint, is very acceptable now. So again, I think it's going to run its course. And then I think some more other things is going to rise up. This new frequency that we're talking about, it's getting ready to rise up.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Sister Janae. She just put in there that she feels it was. Oh, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Sister Janae just said she feels that it was an attempt to create a viral moment, which I agree to with that whole situation.
Exactly. That's what I said.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sister Janae just said that in the chat, so I just want to acknowledge that.
Oh yeah, yep. Big
What's your take, Captain Uncaged? You done heard me and Empress Cheese. What's going on with your take? Give us the quick, the dirty, the low, and the down.
Oh yeah. So it's multifold, multifaceted. For one, I agree. Trying to create a viral moment. He's got tours to sell, he's got records to sell, and this type of controversy helps to do this. It's also kind of part of his character, kind of on par with his quote unquote brand, as far as saying controversial things or being controversial, so on and so forth. So he's pushing that envelope, and for him. For him, I think it's all fun and games. I don't think he's really serious about, or to a certain extent, because part of it is based on the kind of rap bravado. You know what I'm saying? Of I'm the best and can't nobody mess with me. I'm the best to ever do it, and kind of a majority of rappers come out with that type of persona and that type of perspective. And it's one thing to have a certain level of confidence, so on and so forth. But, facts is facts. You got to acknowledge those things. And like I said, I can't take, what he's saying too seriously based on knowing some of his character and some of the caricatureness that he projects as an artist, right? So end of the day, bottom line, you can't disrespect the legends.
Thank you.
You gotta pay homage to those that came before you, those that laid the groundwork, those that made the way. You know what I'm saying? And in order for you to say anything about what you're talking about right now, if it wasn't for legends and pioneers that paved that way, such as the Big Daddy Kane, such as the Rakim, you know what I mean? Such as a Cool Mo D, then these individuals wouldn't even be here. They wouldn't even have a stage to be on. All right. So you got to acknowledge that first and foremost. And you know what I mean? Pay homage and pay respect to your elders. All right. Don't get spanked out here.
The audacity to try to think that you could compare to them and compete with them, and they did what they did when they did it, and how you trying to go back in time, like Back to the Future type of thing, to try to act like you can outlast their shine or their glory that they had in their era, and they still have it because of the respect that has been given to them for being, like you said, the progenitors and the originators of that whole, essence of who they were as an artist. Yes, they had a lot of competitive spirits, but they were respectful with it. They didn't go around trying to compare themselves with each other. Some of them did the little dirty stuff, like when of course, when Kumo D and was it Big Daddy Kane and Kumo D that went up against LL? Who went up against LL? Somebody. It was one of them two. Mm-hmm. But that was all in friendly competition. But that was all part of their way of promoting and marketing during that time where things weren't viral. You couldn't really go viral back then because that was not the element of the platforms that were available at that time, like they are now, where Bum B can get a whole bunch of views based on him just being, shock value, going for shock value to get, provoke somebody into, questioning his foolishness and his way of thinking that he could put his name or put these people's name in their mouth and get a response. He's just trying to get a reaction from people. That's what he's trying to do, to build up that that brand, like you said, that's his brand. That's the way he tries to does things, and he's been pretty good at it. So you got to respect his game as well.
Sure. All right. So yeah, thank you for that addition, Brother Pollinator.
And thank yourself for what you said as well.
Yes, sir. Much appreciated. Okay, let me see what we got here. That's the whole clip. All right, let me come to our next clip and get ready to share that. Okay. So we're going to transition a little bit, family, and we're going to take it to outer space, or almost outer space. Now, this was a story that kind of, we were going to premiere this previously, but we did not have the time, and so let me share a little bit of this now, and we can get into it. All right. Now, this was a failed rocket launch. All right. So let's take a look at this really quickly, and then we're going to bring it back down to Earth and talking about some things that are happening on the planet. All right. Things that are happening with Nana Earth. Okay. Let me share my screen. Okay. There it is. So this is Blue Origin. All right. The recent failed rocket launch attempt. All right. Let's take a look. And this is Cape Canaveral. All right. New Glenn rocket exploded at Cape Canaveral during a launch pad test firing on Thursday, May the 28th. The U.S. Space Force said there were no injuries at the Florida spaceport following the incident. All right. Lit up the night sky. Okay. Let me stop my screen share there. Pollinator, let me come to you. I know this in your wheelhouse right here. What's your thoughts on this latest attempt of space exploration?
If it wasn't deceiving of my eyes, and my regular eyes ain't that deceived, but my first eye, I would have thought I was looking at something out of Nagasaki and Hiroshima right there. It was a premature ejaculation of one of their phalluses that were trying to go up into the universe and penetrate the firmament, and trying to think that phallus rocket could do that, and it had a premature ejaculation and blew up on itself. I don't know if that's too graphic for the show or not.
Hey, we all, this is grown folk talk here.
But every time they try to use their phalluses to penetrate the womb of our universe, all that crap's getting knocked down. And I hate to say it, they just today I saw something about the 4 new people that are going in on Artemis 3 to start their actual efforts. NASA starting their efforts to try to land on the moon within, I think, by 2028. And they passed the baton. And there happened to be another brother that they putting in this rocket ship. Now, if I was one of those people from NASA that's an astronaut, and I just saw that company that they're going to utilize their equipment to send me up to in a phallus to penetrate the firmament again, and it blowed up right then, you think I'll be jumping in a rocket in 2 years? I don't think so. Because Challenger, we know what happened to Challenger, and there was a brother on Challenger, the honorable ancestor Ronald McNair, but I would be very cautious about even wanting to go up in one of them phalluses right now, because if that happened and it looked like that, would you imagine that's the way you want to go out? I mean, at least the Challenger got into the sky and then it blew up, but that thing didn't even get off the ground. I yield.
Indeed. Thank you for that addition, Brother Pollinator. All right. Anything to add on that, Sister Empress?
No, not really. I mean, we all know for the most part that some of our people have certain types of mindsets. And so where we would not be entertaining to do certain things, certainly, that doesn't mean, I mean, obviously, there are aspects of our people or people that come from us that look like us that, they really believe in this system. I mean, we know people amongst us, and some of them claim to be even conscious, by the way, but they really believe in this system to the degree where they act a certain kind of way, even though they know better. So, I'm kind of used to it at this stage of the game. I already know that we're in a situation that not only encourages, but it makes, it creates certain behaviors. And so, we're gonna probably always see that, at least for quite a while. That will not change.
It's funny because I think it's also Empress Chi, another way to distract us. That's what they did with the Apollo program. It was something that got the America's attention. That we're prideful, we're patriotic, we're going to the moon. It distracted those people during that time, and now all of a sudden they running that same same story. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, out of all the stuff that's happening around the world, wars, earthquakes, X flares coming off the sun. Now you want us to focus on y'all trying to go back up there and go back to the moon, which I still question that. You know what I mean? So it's all of me a distraction, just to focus on the pride and patriotism of us being the first one to get back to the moon and colonize the moon. It's all pride and ego and audacity from men who think that they can rule the earth, rule the universe, rule the planets. But it's all, that crash or that whole, blowing up of that rocket on that launch pad shows them, you know what? Every now and then, when y'all think y'all getting some progress made, boom, disaster.
But
the universe keeps them in check.
But at least from the way I see it, they don't really care, and so it's like children with toys. They get they get tired of the toys after a while, and they want a new toy.
Yeah.
So when you have people like these people who have pretty much everything that they want or need, they got to create something that entertains them, if nothing else. So that's kind of how I see some of this. These are, it's multifaceted, needless to say, meaning that there are several dimensions as to why they do what they do. But one of those dimensions is like little children, tired of certain things and trying to create a new toy.
Are playing with the bigger toys, the bigger toys that they create.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. That's their new big wheel, going, taking these rockets and trying to penetrate the firmament.
Indeed.
What's your take, Captain?
Well, I think we're going to see, more of these type of experiments. I look at all of these things as experiments, and a lot of them are multifaceted. Because their experimentation is technologically wise or technological wise, but also experimentations with different aspects of social engineering and how people react to different things and what gets people engaged and what also could be possible distraction as well. So I look at it in that aspect of multifaceted, and like I said, I think it's going to be more of these, especially since they're moving more and more towards autonomous type of vehicles. Okay. So this is going to be more acceptable because it's going to be less risk of loss of life because they're able to have these vehicles unmanned, and so they're going to be able to experiment a little bit more. So, and with the different developments that you see currently technologically as far as attempting to possibly terraform the moon, terraform Mars, and things of this nature, due to the heavy negative environmental impacts that capitalism and overconsumption has had on this planet. They're looking to try to make homes elsewhere, within our universe, within our solar system. So there's definitely going to be continual experimentations on that, and as they continue to try to develop those technologies, but also again, um, some of it is being put forth in the mainstream to kind of gauge different reactions on how people feel about the current state of humanity, and how easily or not so much folks can be distracted.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because one of the commentaries when I was listening on this latest one that they're getting ready to send Artemis 3 next year back up there to try to start everything, setting up to colonize the moon, the guy was saying, yeah, there could be a whole lot of great things, that the minerals and resources that the moon might have that we've depleted and consumed already in Mother Earth. I'm like, see there, that's parasitical thinking. You want to go to the moon, and first thing you want to do is extract the natural resources and minerals from out the moon. What are they doing right now in Africa? That's what we see them doing still in Africa right now. That's what we see them doing here with all these data centers, and they're extracting all the water to keep them bad boys cooled. It's parasitical, theology. How about that? That's the parasitical theology.
Mm-hmm.
I yield.
Indeed. All right, thank you for that addition. Brother Pollinator and Sister Empress. All right, with that being said, let's come to our next clip. Okay. Now we're going to jump into some things that are happening planetarily, all right? And it's things from the cosmos that are affecting our planet, all right? So as above, so below. So let's look at what's happening with our sun. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. And let's talk about some of these X flares that's been popping off recently. Okay, I got the sound right. Boom. Okay, that's good.
And we are having another CME launch. This is going to send us into another strong G3 expected geomagnetic storm. And it's going to arrive around the 8th and the 9th of June. And the crazy part here is that most of the bulk of this plasma is going to be southward ejected, but we're still going to be in strong G3 categories of a geomagnetic storm. And it came from active region 4461. This is a very small region. It's in beta right now. We're looking to see low and slow again today. This was very impulsive. It just came off, but it's very fast in velocity, and that's why it's going to reach us here tomorrow, basically. So high latitude positions, I guess, get ready. I'm so surprised. It's such a low level M-class flare, and it's so southward. In the region itself, I mean, there are Earth-directed components because it is turning Earth-facing. So I see what's happening, but it's interesting because it entered into the Parker spiral, and that Parker spiral spits everything out in certain directions. So again, we have a lot of sunspots on our sun. 4455 sent us into the strong geomagnetic storm expected, but it went into some moderate geomagnetic G2 conditions, and it's heading off of the western limb of the sun. But we have 4461 over here again, almost Earth facing. So that's why we're getting such a direct blow from such a low level M-class flare. This is very small in size and small in the number of sunspots. So it's very interesting that it did go off. And yes, we do have some coronal hole influences directly around where that region is. So we have
one right over here in the southern quadrant, heading off of the western limb, again, right over here. And then we have another one that is right above 4461. So these both are kind of coupling that effect, and then it's going to be coming our way. And we also have some filaments that could be possible for liftoff. Filaments are also like a solar flare that gets ejected out. So there's like bonuses on top of bonuses. So smaller regions, interesting what happens, you know, coronal hole influences with solar flares and filaments all at once. Look at this beautiful partial halo CME that is ejected from 4461. We're in such a weird period right now because in tropical astrology, we have our sun in Gemini. So we want to communicate, and it, again, air energy, it's swifting us off. We had our moon in Aquarius, so more assertive air energy. And we now have the moon that's in Pisces. So we are being sent into a very dreamlike type of state. And then we're going to be shocked again with the incoming solar wind. So plasma, again, since you're bioelectrical and the weekend magnetic field is going to just allow it to pour in, you're going to be affected by this. So sometimes that comes in physical effects, sometimes that comes in emotional effects. The universe gives you clues, so make sure that you are aware. Rest when your body is asking it to rest. Process your emotions as safely as you can, and just enjoy the weekend, because on June the 8th, we are going to see everything kind of increase. So yeah, mid-June is when everything picks up. Like I said, everything's going to start moving very fast right now, and we're seeing that. Whoa, check this out. It's happening.
All right, let me stop my screen share there. Barbara Pollinator, can you help us make some sense of this? Oh, there we go. There he is. And back to the stage.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it's the times we're living in where, as you said, as above, so below. You know, I wrote a poem a few years back, and I'm probably gonna bring it back. But the hook actually says, "As above, so below, coming down from the heavens like the rain and snow. As above, so below, you reap what you sow," because that's how it go. But people are not paying attention to the as above realm as much as they are paying attention to the so below realm, especially our nation of people. We're too caught up in the bread, wine, and circus of this going on, the NBA finals, and some of them are even into the World Cup. Since when do we like soccer as much as, you know, other nations of people? But, you know, and she's pretty much breaking down what the sun is doing. And if you really look at the sun right now, that is not the same sun of 10, 15 years ago when it was more orangey and yellow. That sun is white. Pay attention when you go out there and try to, you know, sun gaze for a couple minutes until you can remove all of the glare and all of the other, and you will see that's a white sun right now. And it's bright, it's hella bright. So my take on all of this pretty much is that as we're down here, you know, continuing our bread, wine, and circus, the universe is saying we're transitioning. We're moving into another age, whether it's the age of Aquarius, the age of, you know, a new reset that's happening. And the universe is one with this script, with the story. While the people on the earth, a lot of our people that are caught up in the bread, wine, and circus, thinking that this dimension is going to continue to exist as it is, when the universe is saying, you need to look upstairs as above, because things are happening in the ethereal realm and the outer realms, and y'all are not paying attention. So when you start having things like sun flares, X flares coming off, if one ever hits us at an X45 or greater, that would be the same equivalent to the one that hit in 1859 during what they call the Carrington event. All of their primitive machinery, all of their, you know, cars, whether they're, you know, these cars, the Elon Musk in the cars or whatever, these Teslas, all of them are going to go bananas. And it's going to probably look like that movie, Leave the World Behind, that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama produced, where all these cars are piling up in one area because they have no guidance, because the whole grid system has went down, because that X flare just went and just tore up their whole infrastructure. So the bottom line is we need to start paying attention to these X flares, because the same thing that we're using right now to speak on this podcast, I'm using my phone. You all are using computers. If that shuts down and everything goes dark, it's going to be worse than the doggone blackout in New York back in the 70s. People are going to be grasping for whoa, my whole life just turned around because this X flare just took down all of our primitive daggone, technology. So we just need to be prepared for it. We might have to do another episode on the bug out bags and, preparation for events such as this so that people won't get shocked and just totally melt down and crash out if something like that was to happen. Because one thing we could say about the universe and the sun, it's undefeated. You cannot defeat the sun. Our Mother Earth with all the stuff that's going on with the earthquakes. You know what I mean?
Big fact.
So,
big fact.
Yeah, that's my take on it, though.
All right. Any additions on that, Sister Empress?
Well, not really for me. I'm just listening and following as it, all plays out. I think, again, at this stage of the game, enough has been said, enough has been done. And so things are going into effect. And like Elle said, people need to pay more attention. But for me, time is up. Time is running out. And so the process of elimination is now in effect. And so, again, people have been telling us things for centuries, actually, but I'm going to say for decades. And because people haven't listened, you got to figure at some point that has to play out in a different kind of way. And so we know without a shadow of a doubt, there's certain things that have been said for at least 100 years. And so now the clock is ticking for real. In fact, the clock done took. It's at a point now. That's where they got TikTok, I guess. But I'm saying, folks,
calm down, huh?
Right? Hey, it's countdown time. So for those who pay attention, or for those who want to pay attention, or whatever, so be it. For those that don't, hey. There's nothing I can really say.
All right, indeed. I think that.
What's your take? Captain and Carrie?
For me, it's like just really looking at the awe, right? The magnitude, the magnificence of the connectivity of the earth. With the sun, with the moon, the different principles that has been taught for millennia, right? As far as looking at as above, so below, right? And really giving reverence to things that are, super powerful, super awesome, kind of put things into perspective, all right? And we talk about what's okay, when you look at something like the sun, it's undeniable. So it kind of put these other things into perspective that we really dealing with, and even with the earth, as far as the sun, if enough of those flares come off, it's gonna roast the earth. You know what I'm saying? And only those with heightened aspects and elements of melanin and other things for protection from ultraviolet rays and so forth. Will be able to sustain, to be sustained, right? And so we have to look at that and really look at, the things that we're dealing with that might be non-consequential, that might be, petty, things that don't really have a lot of weight and relevance in comparison to the things that are happening within the universe, within the omniverse, and the things that we really truly need to be paying attention to. How can we get more in touch and in tune with these things so that we flow naturally, as opposed to being in opposition to nature, to what is natural, and to what is life. A lot of things that are being practiced is part of death culture, where we robbing, raping, pillaging, plundering the land, the natural resources, polluting our airways, polluting our waterways, polluting the land. And so at a certain point in time, enough is going to be enough. I don't know if people realize that we are actually living on another living organism. And I like to reiterate that fact from time and again, time to time, make people recognize that the earth is alive, it is a living entity and organism. And if it ever, come to the conclusion that, it wants to get these fleas up off of his back, all they got to do is do a slight shimmer, a slight shake, and we gone.
Yep. Yep.
So we need to put things in proper perspective and give reverence where reverence is due, and make sure that we're respecting our planet, respecting our galaxy, respecting our Milky Way, and respecting our connectivity to not only what's happening here on this planet and life within this ecosystem, but how the other planets, suns, and stars affect us as well, and how we should, based on historical facts, align ourselves so we can flow more naturally within those systems.
Big truth, big facts. It's funny, as you were talking, I was visualizing the sun as the can of Raid, and it's spraying the earth and getting rid of the roaches. And the ones who gonna survive are the ones that are connected on that frequency, meaning we got carbon. If you carbonated, melanated, that means you soak in that energy. You soak in that love from the sun, because we both 666. We 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons. Because when that sun, when all that orange and the yellow and now the white leaves, that thing is going to black. It's going to be the black hole, like a big old black piece of coal sitting up there, which is really nothing but a portal. Because once it collapses, just like any other black hole, only those who can be on that frequency are going to be able to stand it because of their makeup, their DNA, their genetical makeup. Everybody else, that sun's going to be like a can of Raid. Get rid of all the parasites, get rid of all of the insectoids and all these things that they're coming out in the news media about what the government has been involved with concerning these alien so-called species that have been running or helping running the government for the last 7 to 8 decades. So all this stuff is coming together, and we as one are one with the sun. We are one with Mother Earth. We are one with the cosmos, and we are the ones that will survive any universal disaster or any natural disaster here on Mother Earth. And I know we're getting ready to go into a little bit more of that right now, so I yield.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Okay. All right. Thank you for that addition. All right. So, let's jump into another aspect and element dealing with the Earth once again. All right. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's talk about what's happening with the earthquakes. All right, that's happening around the globe. And this one again is in the Philippines. All right. So let me share my screen here. Let's take a look at the power and the sheer magnitude of strength of the Earth. All right. I think we forget sometimes. All right. And again,
or as you call, or as you had once said, or you still say Nana Earth.
That's it. All right, let's jump into it. Let's take a look.
At exactly 7:37 a.m. local time, millions of children across the Philippines were standing outside for the first flag-raising ceremony of the school year. Then the ground began to roll. A massive magnitude 7.8 earthquake. This is just the latest disaster in a series to hit the country. Just 8 months ago, a magnitude 7.4 quake hit this exact same region, adding to a brutal total of 35 major quakes over the last 125 years. And the fault lines below are constantly matched by the volatile skies above. On average, 20 typhoons tear through these islands each year. The Philippines has consistently ranked as the world's most disaster-prone country by the World Risk Index. Alongside earthquakes and volcanoes, heat waves, typhoons, and torrential rains are amplified by the climate crisis. 74% of the population lives in a permanent hazard zone. So why does this specific patch of the planet get hit by disasters so relentlessly? The Philippines sits on a microplate called the Philippine Mobile Belt, with opposing subduction zones on either side. To the east, the Philippine Sea Plate is diving underneath the islands, and to the west, the Sunda Plate is pushing back. And when you pin an archipelago in between, you're gonna get earthquakes and volcanoes and tsunamis. But geology is only half the crisis. The Philippines also occupies a uniquely hazardous piece of real estate, the intersection of the Ring of Fire and the middle of a highway for Western Pacific typhoons. When wet season kicks in, the effects of weather and tectonics can amplify each other. Destabilized mountain terrain after a quake can become a landslide with tropical moisture. In the case of the latest quake to hit, dozens of people were killed and many more injured. But a worst-case catastrophe was avoided because of timing and depth. The fact that those students were outside for the first day of school ceremonies saved thousands from falling debris and collapsed structures. And the rupture was deep, 55 kilometers inside Earth, which meant layers of rock to act as a natural shock absorber. Right now, the region is still adjusting to the quake. A roughly 120 by 50 kilometer chunk of the plate boundary has just snapped, which means weeks of significant aftershocks, just as we approach the start of typhoon season in July. But in the end, in a country where corruption runs deep, the wild card here isn't tectonic or atmospheric. It's the siphoning and mismanagement of disaster funds that will decide whether policy and infrastructure can ever actually catch up to the science, or if communities are left unprotected when the next hit comes.
Okay. All right, let me stop my screen share there. Let me come to Ethereal Journalist for any additions on this story.
Yeah, I'll hit it real quick. I think we talked about it a little bit in our pre-production meeting about how every time one of these G3 X flares, solar flares comes off that sun, there's always a magnitude earthquake 6.0 and above in several different locations, because there's an app that you can pull up called the Earthquake. I think it's a surveillance app. And during the time you see these actual solar flares, a lot of these 6.0s are triggered, not just in the Philippines. They just got the big publicity because it was a 7.8, but really initially it was an 8.2. So I think the United States Geological Survey always reduces it by 0.2 to 0.5. So they took it down to a 7.8. But I think that was an 8.2, and it might have been even greater, but they're trying to, I guess, reduce the magnitude because they don't want people to start panicking, because every time one of them X flares comes off that sun, go to the earthquake map and you'll see all these earthquakes getting triggered. So you're talking about the gravitational pull of plasma coming through here with its electromagnetic energy, with the protons and electrons and things coming off that sun, probably having an effect on the Earth's crust system, or the grid system of the Earth. And that's what people are not connecting that dot. They're starting to talk about it now because they got to start telling the truth, because these disasters are going to continue to increase. And I don't know if we're going to go through it tonight, but there was just a 6.1 in the Gulf of Mexico, right near Cuba, the same time. And there hadn't been an earthquake in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm gonna call it the Gulf of Mexico. I don't care about them changing it to the Gulf of America. That was BS right there. That's them just doing what they want to do when they want to do it. But a 6.1 is big in the Gulf because that's right close to us. People in Florida felt that bad boy. And I don't know if we're going to run through it today or if you're going to run a video, but at the same time, that 6.1 popped off, and it shook buildings as far as the middle part of Florida, the state of Florida. Buildings were shaking. People could feel the ground moving. And that thing was 400 miles right off the coast of Cuba. So let's pay attention, good people. As above, so below. Things are happening so fast, and we have to be prepared for even a major disaster, earthquake here in this country, or even the Calderon, the biggest super volcano in the world, popping off, called Yellowstone. Hell, Mount St. Helena's blew back in 1980 or something like that. What makes us think one of our volcanoes, that we have many in this country, won't get ready to erupt? The ones in Hawaii are already on its 44th and 45th episode of eruption. So people need to start paying attention to these signs of the times. I yield.
Indeed. Thank you for that addition, brother Pollinator. Any additions?
So, the one thing that I wanted to add is that in observing what we call nature, the one thing that I know is very interesting is that nature tends to give you a warning. And what I mean by that is based on either the animals or, of course, today technology. Usually you're able to know in advance if there is a tornado coming, a hurricane coming, a tsunami coming. 9 times out of 10, there's some kind of indication that that's going to happen. And it gives people the opportunity to get out the way, right? The one thing that, and even with a volcano, 9 times out of 10, you're able to determine when it's going to erupt. But with earthquakes, that's where it's different. It is oftentimes very difficult to gauge when that's going to happen. So the fact that we are now seeing a lot of earthquakes, that for me is, I don't really listen a lot to a lot of what people say beyond a certain point when they, give their concepts of certain things. I look at the things that are right there that I can examine and begin to discern and then evaluate as the real rule of my thought processes. And so what I'm saying again is that the amount of earthquakes that we're seeing in the more recent times, I think that right there is definitely sending a message. And I do agree with Al on that. Folks better start paying closer attention and even more so, perhaps, try to get more in tune to it. See, that's what's going to make a big difference. You can pay attention to it, but to be in tune to it so that you're responding in a certain kind of way, that's going to be the difference.
Major.
Okay. All right. So
you ain't got no take on it, Captain?
Well, y'all pretty much already hit it. You know what I mean? So, I just, concur. And like what I was saying earlier about the power of the planet, right? And this is just a small glimpse of it, and how we just need to get our act together so we can be better in tune with the things that are happening with the planet, so that we can be attuned, be aware, so we can flow with it instead of going up against nature, natural law, universal law. All right, so this is just one little inkling, one example of the true power of nature and of the earth. And we don't have to respect it, but we're gonna learn either way.
You're gonna learn today.
We're gonna learn today. Either way, whether you respect it or not, the earth is what it is, the power is what it is, it's gonna do what it's gonna do.
Sure.
All right. Okay, so with that being said, I just wanted to let me see if I can. I'm gonna highlight this really quickly. All right, just to a quick little snippet. All right, let me share my screen real quick, just to show you again what it looks like when you're in harmony. All right, and this is a quick. I'm gonna see if I can find a clip on it. But this is something quick here. This article here. Scientists just revealed the secret engineering superpower of the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid vibrates at different frequencies than surrounding ground, preventing resonance and earthquake damage for 4,500 years. Empty chambers and limestone construction help dissipate seismic vibrations and distribute mass from center to base. Researchers use 37 sensors to measure vibrations throughout the pyramid and surrounding area. Whether ancient Egyptians intentionally designed seismic protection remains speculation and unconfirmed by current evidence. Yeah, right. Like this stuff is accidental at this point in time. Like all of the great works of mathematics and science that is involved with the development of the pyramids, and they dare have to act or dare to ask if these things was intentional or this was just coincidental. Right, so that's just a little snapshot, family, of what it looks like when a people are in tune with the frequency and vibrations of the planet, when they're working along with, as opposed to against nature. All right, and taking heed to the signs, being able to take these things into mind as it pertains to, you know, the development of structures, development of architecture, the development of agriculture, so on and so forth. We pay attention, or we used to historically pay attention to nature and see how we can mimic these things so we can flow in tandem with it, as opposed to trying to crash against the currents, which is presently what is occurring with the system of neo-colonialization and capitalism across the globe. All right. All right, so let me come to the ethereal journalist for any additions on that.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned about the frequency. You know, right now, every time one of these solar flares, X flares, or even some of these things that are being now attributed to their so-called scientific discoveries of how the pyramids actually would sort of stabilize the planet. And there's pyramids all over the world. Let's not get that twisted.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, Sudan has over hundreds of pyramids right there on the mother continent. So the bottom line is they're just coming into their discovery of something that is ancient, that was here way before they were, with higher technologies that they could ever even imagine. They're just primitive right now. They're just learning through the science or knowledge of what they want to make it, or what kind of a perpetration of their narrative that they want to put out here. But we've been known as the true people of all of the lands of the world, of the earth. We come from every part of it. We've known that we've always been in tune and in frequency to the planet. Now they've even set what they call the Schumann resonance. You all have heard about that. And the frequency of the Schumann resonance is at 7.83. When you add 7 plus 8 plus 3, that's 18. Add 1 plus 8, that's 9. 9 ether. See, so they even understand, but they're trying to give it to accredit it to some guy, some German scientist or discoverer named somebody Schumann, and now they want to call it the Schumann resonance. Why don't you just call it what it was? That comes from the ancient people who had created the pyramids. All of the energy grids and ley lines of this planet, we understood those things, and we were in harmony and in frequency with those things. So y'all coming up with your own name and putting your name on something that has been around for ages, eons. So stop the doggone delusions and illusions, thinking that y'all are discovering something through your so-called knowledge or science. We've had that knowledge not only externally by the things that we've created that came from us internally. All those things that happen that you see in the world, that are the pyramids and all of the ancient structures that were in alignment with the universe, with the sun, the moon, the stars, the cosmos, that came from us. And we were the ones that were always in tune and in the frequency with that. But see, now, I hate to say this, because we as the original people that come from those bloodlines and lineages that understood these things, we're suffering even more through diseases, because we're not in tune to nature. We're suffering more from all this other, you know, what the 3D matrix programs and scripts us to try to figure it out and understand it as what their perspectives are. And that's the reason why a lot of us are suffering and a lot of us are dropping dead like flies, because we're not in tune to that frequency of everything we just, you know, everything I just said, the universe, the cosmos, the earth, the moon, the stars, and everything that we are and where we come from. We are star children. We come from the heavenlies, and we talk about it a lot when we talk about the Dogon tribe. They understood that. So we need to get back as the people that created this energy frequencies for us to be able to survive on this beautiful planet called our Mother Earth, so that we can get back to that nature of our frequency being in alignment with everything in the universe. I yield.
All right, indeed. All right, thank you for that, brother Pollinator. All right, Sister Empress, anything to add on that?
No, not really, Brother Moon, but I mean, Al pretty much said it all, or said, you know, pretty much what I was thinking. And, you know, again, it's due time. You know, we are having these conversations, but at the same time, if folks are not going to kind of heed to some of what's being said, then unfortunately that's going to be on them. But we're going to do our part. So let us move on with it.
All right,
We
absolutely.
will have no blood guilt. We will have no blood guilt because one of the universal laws of blood guilt says if you see something coming and innocent people are involved that don't have no understanding and you don't warn them about it, their blood is on your hands. Here at the Ethereal Journey as an intergalactic proclamation, we are not going to be in violation of the laws of blood guilt. We're not going to have nobody's blood on our hands. What happens to these people? Because they've been warned, and now guess what? They're getting ready to reap what they sow or what they didn't sow. Are you?
All right. Absolutely. Let me see. Let me try to come to this. All right. With that being said, thank you for that addition. All right. With that being said, let's keep this shit blasting off. All right. We're gonna. Oh, let me come to this first. Speaking of Sudan. All right. Let's talk about the Sudanese people real quick. Let's go across to the motherland, and then let's come back on to the into the States. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. We want to make sure that we are abreast and aware of what's happening on the continent, family. All right, we talk about the Congo, we talk about Sudan, we talk about Zambia and other countries, Kenya and other countries, right? Because the things that are happening there are mirrored to the things that have or is going to happen here and vice versa. All right. So we need to be mindful of paying attention and looking at how we could partner, how we could collaborate and be able to build collectively with folks on the motherland. Okay. And those things that we have in common in fighting oppression. Okay. All right. So let's take a look, family.
1,151 days since the war in Sudan broke out in April 15th of 2023, and this is my urgent appeal to you to continue supporting and continue donating to those volunteer-run organizations that are working on the ground. The fighting continues to ruin homes, to displace families, and to create what is now the largest humanitarian crisis in the world, and here are your updated stats. As of today, 33.7 million people require urgent humanitarian aid, but they're not receiving it. So this number just keeps growing. Over 14 million people have been displaced internally and externally with no safety, security, and for many people, they have nowhere to go at all. Over 22 million people are facing acute and severe starvation, and some regions are facing famine. And with the attacks on hospitals, over 21 million people have been left without health care at all. Due to blockages and fighting, many people are relying on volunteer-run community initiatives to provide food, water, and basic needs. Now, the problem is, most of these organizations are experiencing a drastic decline in donations, and as a result, they are all on the brink of collapse. For many people who are trapped inside the country, this is their only reliable source of aid and food. These organizations rely on people like us to continue donating so that they can continue giving. If these organizations collapse because we are not donating anymore, there are hundreds and maybe hundreds of thousands of people who will not be fed, who will not get aid, and who will not get the help that they need. So this is my urgent call out to you. I'm going to tag as many organizations as I can in my comment section, and now it is your job. It is your job to spread this either by sharing or by donating. Even if you donate just $1, do something, because we cannot let these organizations collapse. Today marks 1,151 days since the war in Sudan broke out.
All right. Let me stop my screen share there. Okay, good information, good updates, good statistics from my sister, tapping in for what's happening from our brothers and sisters over in Sudan. Okay, let me come to the theory journalist. What say you? What do you have to add on this?
I yield to the Empress. I'd like to hear her perspective.
So, the situation in Sudan has been going on for a while, and I'm not sure if people are really aware of what some of the issues or some of the problems really are when it comes to the internal struggles. So, of course, the Sudan is known for the peoples of the Sudan, before they were called Sudanese, were Kush. They were Kushites. And so once the invasion took place of the Arabs going into that land, it began to, shall we say, create a lot of turmoil internally, because for those that do not know, there is still a high level of discrimination when it comes to darker hue folk. And so right now in Sudan, the more darker people are really the ones who have been subjected to the ruling or the subjugation of the more lighter skinned ones, i.e. those that stem from the Arabs. That's really what's going on, or at least that's a part of it. And unfortunately, you do not hear many of our people talking about that because, again, you know, there's an people talk about anti-Semitism or we talk about anti-Blackism. How about that? We have to start really looking at the reality of skin coloration does make a difference in many worlds. And this is why you have some that be talking about, oh, you know, we don't want to talk about black, because you don't want to talk about the real issues as it pertains to what that really means in real time, you see. And rather than calling a spade a spade. So that's a whole nother conversation that we're going to have at another time. But it is about land. It is about control. It is about the continuation of lessening or eliminating a specific group of people. And why our own people do not talk about the Sudanese or the Kush people, well, I'm going to say the Sudanese people, why they don't talk about it is very interesting, and we should pay close attention to that too. Because there's more energy, there's more, recognition and so forth dealing with Palestine than there is with Sudan, Congo, and other places in Africa. People that really look like us, for real, the majority, right? There's something wrong with that. There's something wrong with this. And people have to start looking at it and talking about it to a greater extent. Yes, all atrocities should be dealt with. And certainly Zionism should be discussed and fought and so forth. But to leave out what is happening to our people, the ones that look more like us, to act as if that doesn't exist, that to me is a form of treason.
I say. Thanks for that addition. All right. Anything to put on that before we move on, Brother Pollinator?
Empress, she pretty much hit it all. You know, I'd just like to say real quick, you know, Sudan, because it is the land of the Kushites, it's a magical land. It's a majestic land, and to see it being done the way it is being done, and all the exploitations, when, like I said, there's more pyramids in Sudan than anywhere else around. It's a very energetic land, sort of like when you go out to Arizona, Sedona, and all the other places in America. These places are very energetic, and Sudan is part of that whole energy grid where there's a lot of magical things that happen in our universe and that have happened there, because they have, like I said, most of the pyramids, like over 200, 300 pyramids right there in Sudan. So it's sad that this land of magic has turned into a land of tragic. I yield.
Indeed. Thank you for that addition to the calendar. All right. With that being said, we're going to move forward to our next story. Okay, let me go ahead and share. All right, we're going to be talking about the brother Carmelo Anthony. All right, coming back over to the States now, and you know, that's going to be part of the subject matter as well, family. When we talk about as we move forward, because we're going to be talking about another case as well, and so we're going to be pinpointing and highlighting the aspects of Black hate that goes on not only here in the United States but internationally. All right, but let's take a look at this, because this also ties into part of the topic discussion matter for this evening, which is the criminalization and dehumanization and elimination of our Black children. All right, let's take a glimpse.
Our other big story, court was in session today in the murder trial of Carmelo Anthony. Anthony is accused of killing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a Frisco track meet last year. Prosecutors rested their case this afternoon, so the defense began calling witnesses. Cameras are not allowed in the courtroom, but Fox 4's Alex Boyer was there today and picks up the story from there.
You know, it's been a very long week for everyone involved in this case. The judge chose to hold another full day of testimony on a Saturday. I can tell you that a key witness burst into tears on the witness stand, and the prosecution rested its case just before 3 p.m., calling fewer witnesses than expected. Now it's the defense's turn to present its case. Another emotional day of testimony inside the Collin County courtroom where 19-year-old Carmelo Anthony is on trial for the murder of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf.
Eddie immediately starts crying. You know, the attorney goes up there and gives him Kleenex.
Court TV anchor Cody Thomas has been inside the courtroom watching the testimony. Thomas is talking about 18-year-old Eddie Parra. He was the Memorial High School student the defense maintains was the reason Anthony was at the Memorial High School tent that fateful day. The defense has referred to Parra as Anthony's friend, but when questioned by the prosecution, he didn't define their relationship that way.
We finally hear from Eddie, and Eddie all but says that we weren't really that good of friends. I just knew this kid because he was dating my what he called his cousin, but a childhood friend. Eddie's testimony, coupled with everybody else's, doesn't seem like he had any reason being under the tent at all.
But on cross-examination, the defense showed the jury several photographs of Parra and Anthony hanging out and seemingly having fun. Parra maintained they only hung out when Anthony's then-girlfriend was around, calling her the common link between them. Defense attorney Toby Shook asked Parra to demonstrate on him how he remembered seeing Metcalf shove or push Anthony before the stabbing. But it was when Assistant District Attorney Bill Worski asked Parra to describe the deadly encounter between Metcalf and Anthony that he broke down.
Then when Eddie describes it, when he lifted up his shirt and saw the hole, like he said hole, not just a wound, a hole. So that kind of gives you an idea maybe how big this wound was, this stab wound.
The state's last witness was Dr. Elizabeth Ventura, the Collin County chief medical examiner who performed Metcalf's autopsy. Metcalf's parents and other family members stepped out of the courtroom prior to her testimony. Ventura showed the jury 4 photographs of the stab wound. She said the stab wound was 2 inches in length and noted it was, quote, gaping. Ventura added that the knife blade wound went through Metcalf's heart wall. She said the injury was not survivable and ruled the official cause of death stab wound of the chest, manner of death homicide, meaning it resulted from the intentional actions of another person. The state rested after calling 21 witnesses. Anthony's legal team maintains that the then 17-year-old acted in self-defense when he fatally stabbed Metcalf with a 3.5-inch folding knife. They have repeatedly pointed out that Metcalf was much taller and bulkier than Anthony. The jury now hearing their side of things. I talked to a criminal defense attorney not involved in this case.
What they're going to want to do is have witnesses that can establish exactly what was going on, what words were said, what actions were taking place. Defense is going to want to say that this was self-defense, and they're going to want to get those specific actions and words as well.
And the defense called 3 witnesses to the stand to testify before the judge called it quits for today. It's too soon to tell if Carmelo Anthony will testify on his own behalf. Keep in mind that the burden of proof is on the state. I can tell you that court resumes on Monday at 9 a.m.
All right, let me stop my screen share there. Let me come to another clip. It's supporting the one that we just saw. Let me stop my screen share there. Let me come to our next clip, and then we can have a brief discussion on that before we keep it moving. Now, I'm gonna go a little bit rapid fire on these because I want to get to the other case, and also I want to get to the recent development that is causing controversy all across the internet. All right, we'll get to that in a second, family. Let me get to this next piece, and then we'll talk about it. Let me share my screen here.
First degree is the biggest
Carmelo just got found guilty. And let me tell you something. First degree is the biggest stretch I ever heard in my entire life. Let me tell you what it takes to get first degree murder. You need, and it's very specific, it's premeditated murder. In other words, you need to literally be going to a place to kill a very specific person. You need some kind of manifesto, you need some kind of evidence that you planned on killing a very specific person that day at that time. That's why no one ever gets convicted of first degree murder, unless like a serial killer or something. So the fact that they got him for first degree murder shows that an all-white jury in Texas is going to do exactly what all-white juries in Texas always do, and that's put black people in prison for life or anything at all. Move properly, black people in America. Carmelo just got.
Let me stop my screen share there. All right, let me come back over to the ethereal journalist for additions on this.
No, I'm going to yield on this one. You know, again, it's just the injustices in this country are just, you know, continual. It's going to be continual, and you know, for me, it's really about now being more proactive. And so I'm just not even, you know, in the mindset to conversate about this one.
Got it. Copy that. Thank you for that addition, says the Empress. What say you?
Well, I'm gonna say two words: kangaroo court. Has been going on for decades. We get caught up in these kangaroo courts where you got all other nations of people, juries, instead of our own, to sort of look at them from a more perspective of what were the actual details of situations, and then you end up, you know, having this kind of nonsense going on in the court system. When you have these kangaroo courts, it's like the woman said, their job is to put us away, give us 100 years, like 50 Cent said, and many men wish death upon me. That's all they're doing to us. They're wishing death upon him, meaning you're going to have physical death because you're going to die in prison. You know, and it's sad. You know what I mean? Quick, he says, quick these crackers will give my black ass 1,000 years. In that song, Many Men. 50 Cent said that. So that's all that this is, man. Just another kangaroo court. I yield.
All right. Okay. All right, so let me come to my next clip. Let's keep this ball rolling. Okay. And this is, let me share my screen. This is what's happening. This is another case, family. This is the guy, Rick Chow. Okay, Rick Chow. So let me share here. Let me put that in the chat real quick. For those who are not aware, there was an Asian man, I believe he was Chinese, and he was on trial for unaliving a young black man. And let me go there now. Let's go to the clip. All right. Let me share my screen.
What I'm about to tell you about Rick Chow will shock you. He had facial recognition technology, over 20 cameras, and a wall of shame. He chose a gun instead. I'm Lance the T.I., Sacramento's #1 live streamer, licensed private investigator for over 25 years, and a former police officer for over 10 years. Here is what the prosecutor revealed during the trial. Rick Chow's Shell gas station at 7441 Park Lane Road in Columbia, South Carolina, had over 20 surveillance camera angles, a sophisticated facial recognition system that would alert staff when a known shoplifter entered the store, and a wall of shame above the cash register with pictures and descriptions of every past shoplifter. Andy Chow confirmed all of this on the stand. The prosecutor then asked Andy a simple question. How many of the people on that wall of shame did you chase? Andy's answer, none of them, not one. So Rick Chow had the technology to capture Cyrus Cameron Belton's face on camera, put it on the wall of shame, send it to law enforcement, and let the police handle it. He had a phone. He knew how to dial 911. Andy confirmed nothing stopped them from doing any of that. Instead, they chased 14-year-old Cyrus Cameron Belton 130 yards down the street and shot him in the back. Rick Chow was found not guilty. One question, if you had all the technology, why did you need a gun? Comment below. Follow Lance the PI for more breakdowns like this.
Okay. All right, let me stop my screen share there. All right, so just a briefing on the Rick Chow case. Okay. So this is, very controversial across the internet, and a lot of folks weighing in on, whether they felt as though this was a correct jury decision by the jury. Okay. And so, again, some of the information for the case is this young brother was suspected of stealing water. Okay, there were several camera vantage points that monitored the store. When they looked at the cameras, he didn't steal any water. The young man, left the store. He was being chased by the guy Chow, his brother, and by Chow's son. They chased him past the length of a football field. They were armed. Apparently, the young man, brother Cyrus, he tripped maybe twice. He lost his shoe at one point in time. He tripped. His bag fell open, and apparently he had a weapon inside. He had a gun inside. Now, the defense was using this to say Chow was defending himself and got off on the self-defense plea. Okay, but to many, this goes against a lot of the proceedings on the books, the precedents on the books, as far as self-defense is concerned. All right, one of them being that once a person leaves the premises of the store or your whatever that domicile is, and you're no longer in immediate and imminent danger of your life or safety and well-being, then once that threat is gone, then you can no longer pursue. It's not a case of self-defense anymore. Now it's getting into an aspect of, assaults. Okay. Assault with a deadly weapon, things of this nature. All right. You can be defending yourself while chasing after someone. Okay. And so this is some of the controversy that we're dealing with now. There have been protests that have erupted based on this decision as well. And the internet is all abuzz because of some additions from the Asian community and, the pushback on the Black community calling for boycotts of Asian stores. Okay, let me come to the ethereal journalist for additions on this.
All I'm gonna say is I know exactly that location because when I was in college down there in Columbia, South Carolina, Park Lane was not too far from where I lived at, and it's a shame that this thing is happening in that neighborhood. But Columbia has gotten a lot of problems over the years because they got an influx of gang violence and the Bloods and the Crips and everything else. So I don't know if the store owner was righteous in what he was doing, but I guess he was trying to protect his property. But I think he overextended himself when he chased him down the street, and I don't think that was a good look. And even though the guy had a gun, the kid had a gun. I mean, if he pointed at him, then yeah, that would have been a stand your ground justification, to defend yourself. But to shoot a man in his back, that's how these cowards get down. So It's sad. You know, I'm not going to get engaged in that because this stuff is happening more too often than not because of the disrespect that this country has shown, and has shown people who have come into our neighborhoods and exploited our resources, our monies in these stores. And then, you know, they turn around and they disrespect us like that by shooting and killing some kid, you know what I mean? Or not a kid, but a black teenager. And that's sad. But I'm fed up with it. I'm tired of it. I'm ready for all these parasites to get up out of here now. I hope the sun take them all out like that can of Ray to take out roaches at this stage of the game. I yield.
All right. Thanks for that, Brother Pollinator. Let me come over to Sister Empress for any additions on that.
Well, you know, again, it's not the first time. It won't be the last time. And again, I'm looking very closely at the groups and organizations in our communities nationwide that advocate for us to own our own businesses. And not just advocate, but are really working towards doing that. See, for me, this situation is one, I mean, it's very obvious, you know, in the terms of other people, you know, being in our communities whereby we are going to them, we're taking our money to them, we're giving them our money, we're doing business with them. But what has to also be looked at is what are we doing? Those of us who are conscious. I'm not even talking about the masses. I'm talking about the folks who say they woke or whatever. What's the plan and what's the actions that bring about us creating, not just creating our own, see, at this stage of the game, I mean, a lot of this is just ridiculous to me. I mean, ridiculous in the context of we are letting these people do this stuff. We're really letting them at this stage of the game because this has been going on for a while and it's increasing rapidly. And then we have in many of our communities, particularly in the urban environments, we have our own people calling these people mommy and poppy. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But on the other hand, we have to look at ourselves and know that this is what's going on. But who is talking about producing a plan of action to change it? So we've got to look at this on both angles now. The perpetrators, the racists, the haters, the anti-blackism people, and then we've got to also look at the people that look like us too, in terms of what they're not doing and not even trying to do. Self-determination has almost become a cuss word. Do for self is almost like, oh, it's taboo. And so we've got to now look at who is saying these things, meaning who advocates for that and then who doesn't. And the ones that don't, in some kind of way, shape, fashion, or form, and or is supporting something that is, be very careful of who those people are and stop pushing them as if they're our leaders and all this other stuff. Because then we become a part of the problem in doing that.
Well, it's called the sin. This is called the sin of omission. You know, I'm not going. I'm just going to hit it real quick.
I got to keep it rolling. My apologies, Brother Pollinator. But
no. Go ahead. I just the omission part of on our behalf is just as bad as the commission part on their behalf. But go ahead. I'm with you on that, Sister Cheeto. Go ahead. Run that clip, bro.
Because this is going to be talking about exactly what we're talking about right now. So I'm going to run a couple of clips in succession so we can kind of get the gist of things and then come back on the back end.
Community says, let's boycott Asian businesses. Please do. We'll get rid of the Chinese takeout, the dry cleaners, the laundromats. Let's get rid of the liquor stores as well. Get rid of the Jordans you guys wear, the Nikes you wear, the shower caps, the Hondas, the Hyundais, all your car electricians, the electronics in your house, the Sony, the TV system, your sound system, the microphones that you guys use to rap and speak about awareness for the black culture and the hip hop culture. Where do you think that's made in? That's made all in Asia. And here's another thing for you guys. You guys want us to leave the neighborhood so bad? Oh, Asian people are not neighborhoods? We're in white neighborhoods. We have our own Chinatown. We have our own Koreatown. You think we really need you guys to benefit off and make money? A lot of us do go to college as well. You're being outworked by immigrants who barely speak English. And you're not embarrassed? Go to the bank, Start your own businesses and deal with your own people. I want to see your own women get on their hands and knees and do pedicures and manicures and deal with nasty ass attitudes, okay? Please boycott Asian business. I'm all for it.
I mean, I said it 3 years ago. Yeah. Let them break away. I'd say I would turn it around and say we should break away from them. Let them go, but they have to go in all their sports and see how fun it is to play baseball and softball and track when it's just the 20 of you. And that's what I think we should do. But I'm one person, and that's probably a little more draconian. But that's how I feel about it. Like, let's quit talking about it. Quit threatening.
First of all, I would like to thank this Asian man and this white man for giving me the energy, the motivation that it takes to do our own shit. Like, if you're not motivated by this, as a black man, if you're not listening to these people directly tell you they don't want you, and they dare you to do your own shit, if it's not motivating you to say, okay, now we getting on board. Because sometimes you need to hear it. Sometimes you think this and that, but these people are directly telling you they don't need your money and they don't want your money. They don't need your resources. They don't need your athletic ability. They don't need, let y'all go do your own shit and see how it works out. I want to see how it works out. I believe so much in black people that I believe that it's going to work out for the best. And I think this is what we need. We need to hear it. We need to hear these people tell us we don't really give a fuck about you or what you have. It doesn't really add value to us. We utilize it, cool. But if you're not here, we don't give a fuck. We have our own shit. We building our own shit. We got our own shit, and we don't need y'all. So hopefully y'all as motivated as I am to get our own shit. Because I love to hear that. And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to this Asian man and this white man for motivating me. Hopefully it motivates us to get on our good foot and do the shit we supposed to do for us. Because ain't nobody going to save us and ain't nobody going to help us. The only people going to help us is us.
Okay, let me stop my screen share there. All right, two of y'all points. Okay, and this is hopefully motivation for people to wake up. Now, we got a couple other videos as well because they're talking about what was pushed was, okay, well, stop coming to our businesses, stop doing this, stop doing that. So we actually have, this clip has gone viral, and we have finally a lot of black folks waking up and actually, putting their money where their mouth is, and not shopping at, these stores, not patronizing them, and documenting these things and putting it out there. So there's a few different boycotts that have been springing up nationwide. Okay, and so this is some of the results of being pushed, and it's far past time. It's far past time for us to be developing our own, as both Sister Empress and El Pollinator was stating. All right, let me come to you all for additions on that while we keep it rolling. I just got a couple more clips. It's probably be one of our longest episodes.
I ditto it. Let's keep it moving.
So, just for me briefly, I like spontaneous stuff sometimes, but it's too much. Meaning, we'll do something, we'll react real quick, and then we go right back to whatever it was. So for me, again, at this stage of the game, it's got to be about strategy, organizing. See, that takes time to do. It takes time, it takes commitment, and so forth. So to just jump up and do something and then people follow it, yeah, okay, cool. And then we go right back to the same routine and the same old stuff again, as opposed to literally mapping out some things. For example, we've been telling folks for the past 5 years at least that every year there's something called Black Solidarity Day. So rather than to be organized on a national level in sync with one another, with some actual planning, we won't take advantage of that. And so I'm looking at people who I know, again, that understand some things politically, and I'm just going, I don't get it. How do you be talking about these things, but yet you won't do the things that's right there in our midst? These kinds of evaluations have now got to go into effect. Because again, there's enough information out there, there's enough capability to organize, and for whatever reason, folks don't see the need to do that. So for me, all this, well, we know we're going to boycott today, and this, somebody, some of these people, they just popping up with stuff. And I mean, I get it. But for real, who does that? We do that. But for real, other people don't do that. They are organized. They plan this stuff 5, 10, 15, 20 years, 50 years in advance. And we still reactionary. And again, don't get me wrong. At times that's fine. That works. But it's too much. And not the other stuff. It's not enough of the other stuff. And I'm talking about real stuff that's based on intellect, grassroots organizing, connecting the black dots, those kind of things. And if folks are not going to do that, they just huffing and puffing.
All right. All right, thanks for that addition, Sister Empress. Let me go a little bit rapid fire on these, all right, because we, over our regular time limit, so I'm gonna try to go as quickly as possible to get these last few stories out, all right, that are connected. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen here. Let me let that load up. Okay, let me share my screen.
This is why the boycott needs to be forever.
This is going to be an unpopular fucking opinion, and I'm going to call you out because you motherfuckers don't seem to fucking understand. Every single one of you over there boycotting Asian business and spreading more Asian hate, you fucking black fucking people with your black fatigue, okay? And what your people call niggerism. Yeah, not my words. Those are your people words. You people that is living in that black culture mentality, the poor victim mentality, thinking that people still owe you fucking reparation. Yeah, you motherfuckers. I'm the one talking to you motherfuckers. Every single one of you failing in life. And then you want to blame everybody else. You see this whole Cyrus case and Mr. Chow? None of this would have happened if you motherfuckers raised your fucking kids right.
So over on my page, I posted 3 parts where you can see black beauty supply stores, nails tech businesses across the country. Tons and tons and tons of black beauty supply places. Check it out and keep the boycott going. This is why the boycott needs to be forever.
All right, let me stop my screen share there. Okay, to some of that point.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. That one-day stuff and all of that, I mean, it's cool, but planning, I like what Sister just said. And this is what we're talking about doing with building UBA, United Black Business Association and Alliances, on a national level. Go to these black businesses, but it has to be organized. So big ups to that, sister.
All right, absolutely. Okay. Let me drop one more into the frame. Okay. This is in addition. Okay. Let me go back. Let me tapping back into some sources. All right, in support of this type of initiative. All right, so we can keep it perpetuating. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen one more again.
I'm really all the way out here unapologetically on Juneteenth t-shirts, people. Okay. Hey, I'm Shauna from Shop the Hood, and since I've got my dropping some black-owned business earrings on, let me give you some black-owned businesses that you could be shopping with during Juneteenth. Because, girl, what? Yeah, since I put out this black buying guide, making it easier for us to go shopping with each other, let me just show you some black-owned businesses that you could be shopping with, keeping our money in the community. We've got Black and Ugly with their Juneteenth t-shirt, and they also have a Green Book clothing line as well. Black Facts Clothing has this wonderful Black Inventors t-shirt. Jammy Artistry always comes in swinging with their Teach What Really Happened t-shirts. And Art Piece has their Woke Up Black Again. What a blessing. Power and Black Tees has a full line of Juneteenth products and apparently a great sale going on. And talking about always having a good sale, you know, God ain't petty, but I am. I will always keep shopping with her because, yes, I have this t-shirt also. Resilient Grace has a Juneteenth collection that you can go shopping with her. And she just keeps the Black history flowing on in her entire line. And Urban Ebony Designs have things that are absolutely for the culture. And since we're on 30 Days of Scams and businesses to not shop with that will absolutely be going into the 8 No Way section, did you guys steal Urban Ebony's Designs' entire website? And I'm talking to you, Kennedy 1865, because what? Yeah, you guys will absolutely be placed in our Ain't No Way section. But here's a little heads up to the community. If you're looking on the website, you don't see any of their social media links, don't go shopping there. Because somehow they advertise on social media, but they don't have a social media account. Yeah, that says fishiness. Yes, protect the Black dollar as best we can. Because they are unapologetically all the way out here trying to sell you something. Taking the money out of our community.
Okay, so right there, family, some additional resources, all right, in order to make sure that we're supporting Black businesses as well as buying Black. Okay, so the sister previously that we just played, she has a resource listing as well as far as Black beauty supply stores, you know, so on and so forth. All right, and this sister is looking, you know, she was providing information on as far as Juneteenth wear and merch and whatnot that you can buy from, again, Black creators. All right, supporting Black businesses. And it's something that we can do. It's something that we're doing as well, developing an index, all right, and being able to vet these businesses as well and keep our own kind of scorecard for Black businesses. All right, so that's something we're developing and working on as well. Okay. Let me come to this next story, family. Let me come to this next story. This is
And while you're doing that, Brother Lewin,
yeah.
is it ready?
No, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, yeah. While you're doing that, I just want to remind folks, see, I'm going to put some of the responsibility on our people when it comes to making certain that we are better at doing business with our own people. MWM 30 is next year. That's going to be a major, major gathering. What we learned from the first one was that it is a marketing, shall we say, yeah, I mean, it is unbelievable in terms of marketing and selling. We didn't know how to do that the first time around. So we're already telling folks right now, particularly those that make, produce, manufacture any kind of natural hair, body care, personal care item. We're telling folks right now to register with us so that by next year we can showcase them. Now that's the first initiative because again, we're going to do it in segments. So how many, having said this numerous times already in the past 3 months, I wonder how many folk have either said to the people that they know, because some folks know folks that make these items, and say to them, listen, contact MWM because they're looking to be able to showcase Black folks that make their own products. You see? Mm-hmm. We got to really be honest about what's going on and what's not going on. And instead of depending on social media and all this other stuff. People are interacting with people that they know are making certain items. And like I said, the first items that we're looking at is natural hair, skin, body care, personal care. Then later we're going to go to clothing. Then we'll go to jewelry. Folks that are making their own jewelry, folks that are making their own clothes. But first things first. And see, people don't know. We do test runs on things to see how you're going to respond or not. Because it really helps to tell the reality of what's going on. So again, for folks who purchase products for the hair, the skin, personal care, it can be herbal things, personal care, health. Are we sharing with them to contact an entity that's getting ready to have a major event that will reach millions of folk? Because if we're not even doing that, all this other stuff is just conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we're going to drop that information shortly before we get ready to close out for folks to follow up with, email and phone number. All right, so we can again work more collectively as far as it pertains to building up Black economic and Black economical systems. All right, let's jump into this other story. Let's keep it rolling so we can get ready to get up out of here.
A black baby doll is going viral right now, and videos show people stomping on it, boiling it, and throwing it for entertainment. When someone asked why the black version was chosen, a user allegedly explained that a white baby would feel too human, that people would feel bad hurting. That one sentence is the story. A squeezable stress relief toy called the Natasha doll has taken over Chinese social media. It comes in multiple colors, but the dark-skinned version is the one dominating the video. It's the one being beaten. It's the one being run over. It's the one being subjected to extreme handling for views and engagement. I'm Dr. Michael H. Ford, and this is a story you need to hear, because this is not new. In 1895, a doll called the Gollywog appeared in British children's books. A black caricature with exaggerated features rooted in the blackface minstrel tradition. It was not just a toy. It appeared on household items, food labels, greeting cards, and even advertisements. According to historians at the Jim Crow Museum of Racist Memorabilia, toys and games have long been one of the most pernicious ways to spread racist ideas, because they normalize those ideas in the minds of children before they are old enough to question. And the Natasha doll is not the first time this has happened in the digital age. In 2022, a BBC Africa Eye investigation exposed a Chinese content creator in Malawi who paid children as young as 9 $50 each to chant phrases in Mandarin that they could not understand. Those phrases included "I'm a black monster" and "my IQ is low." He sold those videos for up to $70 each on Chinese social media, making up to $380 a day. He was convicted, but the pattern did not end with his conviction. The dehumanization of black people did not begin online, but online platforms have given it a global audience, an algorithm, and a profit margin. When an entire community can be reduced to a stress relief object, and that reduction goes viral, we have to ask who benefits from that normalization, and we have to ask who pays the price. Healing starts with knowing. Follow from me. A black baby doll is going viral right.
All right, let me stop the screen share there, family. All right, for all those who are not aware of the controversy that's been caused with the quote-unquote Natasha doll, all right, the Chinese developed stress doll that has, set the internet afire. Okay, and this is what the brother was talking about, and another, perspective, another aspect of black hate, right, and how it metastasizes. And these are some of the tools, some of the mechanisms in which that are used, all right, to implant the ideas of, dehumanization. That these once you can start to look at the idea of black babies, okay, being utilized in such a fashion, even subconsciously, that begins to build a wiring, within your brain to have less empathy, to have less care, to feel as though certain treatments are justified. And this is traditionally how these things were done, and what allowed slavery to be pushed forth in the mainframe. All right, the transatlantic slave trade, right, by implanting the ideas and people grasping to them, based on ignorance and cognitive dissonance, that allowed them to perpetuate these practices and to turn a blind eye. These people are 3/5 of human. They're not real people. Okay, so this is a modernized version of some of the things that have happened historically in order to dehumanize black people, and specifically in this case, black children and black babies. All right. Let me see. Let me keep it rolling on the same note. I got a couple of videos on this. Let's hear what Brother Godfrey has to say about this. Let me go ahead and share my screen one more again. Okay.
Not sure if you guys have heard of the Natasha doll. The Natasha doll are these black baby dolls in China where they abuse them. They beat the shit out of them, beat them up, do whatever, stomp them on the ground. It's black baby dolls. China, which is mainly full of Chinese people. That's the headquarters for where they make Chinese people. All of a sudden, they just have this obsession with being the black people. This is another reason why I say black people, we don't have any friends. We have no friends all around the world, whether you're African, Afro, Latino, Black American, don't matter. We don't have friends around the world at all. You understand? We don't. I mean, listen, there are little groups of people, of course, that hang out that are friends. I'm talking about macrocosmically as a whole. People, we run in people's minds rent free, especially when it comes to negativity. And this is China, where most of the Chinese are copying black culture all day long. They pop locking, they doing this, they DJing hip hop, all kinds of shit, braiding their hair, all kinds of shit. But then they go, you know what? Let's degrade black people by getting a black doll. And they said that because everyone's asking, why aren't the dolls white? Because we see the white dolls as human, the black ones we don't. So f you, China, for that. F you, all the way up your ass for that. And of course, it's not all of China because this is the internet and you know what I mean? A lot of times they like to skew a lot of perspectives. China is huge, so obviously not every Chinese person is doing that. So I just want to make that clear. But the fact that they even have that. Anytime it's either blackface, you know, picking any, these motherfuckers just have to, I think people wake up in these towns that where no black people are and go, I want to talk about today. I want to make fun of black people today. And at the same time, you see these kids at a Beyonce concert though. Real weird, sick. I call it negrophilophobia. Negrophilophobia it's a nice little medical term. Negrophilophobia is the love and hate of black people at the same time. So it's a real strange cerebral dichotomy that f***s with people. I hate you, but I love you. I hate you. I hate you. I love you. I hate you. I love you. I hate you. I love you constantly. That's a sickness. It should be in the DSM in psychology. Not sure if you guys have heard of the Natasha doll. The Natasha.
All right, let me stop it there. Okay. All right, family. Let me keep it rolling. I'm gonna come to the ethereal journalist on the back end. Okay. Now this is I meant to play this a little bit earlier, but let me jump into this really quickly. And this is on the young brother Cyrus that was eliminated and taken from this earth, all right, by Rick Chow.
That was the verdict in the murder of 14-year-old not guilty. That was the verdict in the murder of 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton, shot in the back by a store owner who chased him down over water bottles he never stole. In the aftermath, an Asian man went viral, not to mourn a child, but to tell the Black community that it's too deficient to boycott and too economically powerless to matter. His words were intended as a dismissal, but they should be received as a warning. There are Asian Americans who stand in solidarity and understand this history. This conversation isn't for them. This conversation is for the ingrates, the ones who cash Black dollars every day and cannot name a single civil rights leader who made their presence in this country possible. Because the anti-Black sentiment that let a man shoot a child in the back and walk free is the same sentiment that says your grief is invalid. In the middle of a community grieving, the loudest message was one of disrespect. Before 1965, Asians were excluded from America entirely. The Hart-Celler Act, a direct product of the civil rights movement, opened that door. The Black community bled and opened the door for the entire world to walk through. When Asian immigrants arrived, racist covenants and discriminatory lending barred them from white neighborhoods, so they came to Black ones. Black communities became the incubator for the Asian American dream, giving new immigrants the economic foothold that white America refused to provide. And before those neighborhoods were destroyed, the Black community was self-sufficient. In Greenwood, $1 stayed in the community up to 50 times before it left, fueling a Black economy worth billions. That economy was deliberately crushed through redlining, racial violence, and the government-funded drug epidemic. Into that vacuum, Asian-owned businesses moved, funded by the very banks that refused to lend to Black businesses. Black dollars built that generational wealth. And just one generation later, some of those same communities are hunting Black children in the street. The ink on the prosperity is barely dry and a child is dead. And it's not only in America. On Chinese social media, a toy called the Natasha doll, a dark-skinned Black baby, has gone viral with videos depicting simulated violence, stomping, punching, and pouring boiling hot water on it. A Black baby designed to absorb violence is now among the top-selling stress relief toys in Asia. This isn't a toy, it's a worldview. People deserve to live. Children deserve to not be hunted down in the street. And a community that cannot find the humanity in a 14-year-old boy shot in the back has already lost its own. And if you didn't know, now you know.
Let me stop my screen share there. Shout out to Sister Chanel. Okay, we're breaking down some of that history. I got one more video I'm gonna play, family, and I'm gonna come back to the theory of journalists to add in on and see if they can make sense of all of this mess. All right. All right, let me take a look at what's happening here. Now this is a Chinese American speaking on her viewpoint. All right, let's take a look.
Specifically to the Asian community right now. We need to stop pretending, speaking specifically to the Asian community right now. We need to stop pretending like anti-Blackness does not exist in our community, as if it's not a problem, because it is. We see it in the stereotypes that get repeated in our homes, in the ways people talk about Black communities, the excuses people make when Black people are harmed, and the silence that follows when accountability is needed. The response from Asian Americans for the killing of Cyrus Belton has been deeply disappointing. Instead of centering a 14-year-old Black child who lost his life, some people rushed to defend Rick Chow, justify the shooting, or shift blame onto Cyrus himself. That should disturb all of us. We cannot keep demanding solidarity from other communities when anti-Blackness within our own community goes unchallenged. We cannot talk about the racism Asian Americans face while refusing to acknowledge prejudice that exists in our own families and social circles. The model minority myth has convinced some Asian Americans that proximity to whiteness will protect us. It will not. That myth was created to divide communities of color and to encourage us to see ourselves as separate from the struggles of Black Americans. When we buy into that mentality, we become participants in a system that harms all of us. Accountability is not anti-Asian. Calling out anti-Blackness is not anti-Asian. Using to excuse harmful behavior because the person involved is Asian is not anti-Asian. It is the bare minimum. If we are serious about justice, then we need to be willing to confront uncomfortable truths about our own community. That means challenging anti-Black comments when we hear them. That means rejecting stereotypes. That means listening when Black people tell us about their experiences. That means recognizing that solidarity is a commitment. It is not a slogan that you wear, that you can just slap on whenever you want. Cyrus Carmack Belton deserved to grow up. He deserved to be safe. He deserved better than the assumptions and the fears that ended his life.
Let me all right, I gotta stop him there. I just wanted to play her clip because this guy is a conservative covert coon. All right, so I definitely want to hear him pandering for the Conservative Party and for Black hate, you know what I mean, perpetuated by Black people. All right, let me stop my screen share there. Let me come to the Ethereal journalist for all of this. I got one more clip, which is the part of Ethereal inspiration. But before we get to that, let me come to the Ethereal journalist to make sense and break down some of the materials that we have just witnessed.
I yield to Sister Chi.
Right.
So again, this has been going on for quite a while. And for me, it's about solution orientation and acting in that manner. So for those who are interested, on June the 26th,
29th, I believe it is. No, 26th. We'll be introducing something for Philly that we hope to bring to other cities, but we're going to kick it off here in Philly with this being the so-called 250-year anniversary of this country being formed officially and blah, blah, blah. And so with that said, again, for some of us, it is essential that we have our own. And as a matter of fact, today they put the sign up here in Philadelphia for Africa Town. Now, this is a tourist commercial endeavor, right? We're going to have a conversation about this because you talk about trickery. This is a real good example of 21st century type trickery right in our faces. Anyway, I digress. So on the 26th, what I'll be presenting in Philly and virtual, in our community and virtual, is the idea of New Black City. New Black City is a combination of several things, not only to deal with business and commerce, institution building, community building, etc., but what we also talk about, which is repair and healing. And so as we used to have freedom towns or free towns, that's kind of what this is. And it's like none other, because this is not economic or community development as most cities or most entities structure it. No, this is specifically geared to us and for us, based on repair and healing. So we'll go more into that another time. So that's my response, because all this other stuff, and again, we should talk about it, but at some point, it's got to be more than just talk. It got to be about what we're going to do, or at least attempt to do. The coons and all this other stuff, this is happening. And lastly, I told folks several years ago, when we started really noticing the increase of the missing Black women and girls all over the country. And then when we start seeing or not seeing anybody really care in our communities. We said then this was a door opener for there to be more trafficking and other kinds of horrendous acts against our people. Because if you don't care about your own women and girls, that sends a message, whether people are psychologically aware of it or not. So now, once again, we're seeing this kind of situation where this person is just walking free after unaliving one of our children. And you have to begin to connect the realities that folks are very clear that we either don't care or not going to do anything in response. So I yield on that.
I'm just going to hit it real quick. I think a culmination of those videos, my perspective pretty much is that if you're operating in the frequency of, I call it P, pride, ego, arrogance, vanity, that's not going to make the reset. That's not going to make the new earth that's coming in right now. And the universe is trying to scream out loud. It's happening. It's going to happen. And if you're still on that P theological, parasitical theological thinking, you're going to get eliminated from this thing. Because pride, ego, arrogance, and vanity is the ultimate motivation, our ultimate heart's intention, because these people have felt that way and they're never going to change. So off with their heads, and for many of them, straight to the lake. One of the lakes being prepared is Yellowstone. Okay? So my whole thing on an ethereal level is if you operate in hate, jealousy, and envy, you ain't gonna make the reset, because the spiritual dimensions, timelines, time realms, and spaces where we come from is love. And we've always shown all nations of people our love. And if they don't want to reciprocate that back to us, off with their heads, and for many of them, straight to the lake. Because we are the progenitors, we are the originators, we are the primordials of the universe. They're not, they came from us. So if they're going to hate the things that help create them and produce them, and they don't want to pay us no respect, off with their heads. Because hate, envy, and jealousy, and all them other low vibrational, low frequency, parasitical entities and energies will not make the transition to the new earth and the new heaven. That's happening right now. Some of us are already operating in the fifth dimension. And all these people that's operating in the third dimension right now, they're going to stay stuck like Chuck in the muck in a broke down truck right there. And many of them are not going to make it. So all these, whether you a nation of Chinese, a nation of white, a nation of black, and even a nation of whatever color you think you are, if you operating in any of those low vibrational, low density, low, energies, you're not going to make it because it's a parasitical energy that Mother Earth is rebelling against, Mother Nature is rebelling against, and certainly the Queen Mother of the universe, who is love, is not playing games with nobody like that anymore. I yield.
All right, I say. All right, thank you for that addition, Brother Pollinator. And to get more information on those MWM initiatives, you can email nationalmwm@aol.com. Again, that's nationalmwm@aol.com. You can also text 267-636-3802. That number again is 267-636-3802. All right, family. And I will add in, challenge accepted. That Asian man, was challenging us to, build our own businesses, support our own businesses, be able to get in the aspects of manufacturing and all of those different areas that he was describing. And, just to make a few points, he was talking about, we need Asians because, they, he's talking about, they produce the microphones. Okay, if you look historically, the inventor of the microphone was a black person. Okay, so let's not get it twisted. The inventor we just covered earlier, the inventor of the refrigerator was a black person. So who needs who now? What again? Okay, let's get things clear. Okay, let's make sure that we put things in proper perspective. And as was mentioned previously as well, with the I forgot which one of the I believe it was the sister Chanel was pinpointing the fact that the reason why Asian Americans are in the position that they're in currently is because of the fight of black people, and the things that came about during the civil rights era and the fight for equality, justice, and so forth. All right, which even allowed them to get put in those different positions. All right, and to be thankful as well because we allowed them to come in our communities, because we're accepting of everyone. You know what I mean? So we let them come into our communities, set up shop, we patronize them, and this is the things that we get. Okay, so we need to be pushing back from the table, family, getting our stuff together and supporting our own. That's what time it is. That's what time it's been. Okay, so we got to act like we know and make it do what it do. Okay, family. So yeah, and there's no more time for excuses about how or why we can't do this, that, and the third. We have everything that we need. We have all those capabilities. We have the intelligence. We have the ingenuity. We have the creativity. We have the charisma. Okay, and so on and so forth. And we also have the connections if we were to continue to build with those such as in Burkina Faso and Mali, so on and so forth, those countries who are moving towards more independency, okay, and connecting with those as far as manufacturing, production, so on and so forth. All right, just like Asians go to Asia and be able to do wholesale and so on and so forth, we have to have the capabilities in doing the same. Also working more collectively, more collaboratively, because they have business districts, so on and so forth, where they can go in and purchase things wholesale. The entire business association comes together and is able to purchase things wholesale, so on and so forth. That's how they're able to get lower prices, discounted prices. All right, and we're not able to do competitive pricing because we're not working collectively. We're working in our own silos and our own islands, and therefore we're not able to compete commercially. All right, so these are the things that we have to make sure that we're focusing on, we're honing in on, and that we're executing presently and moving forward into the future. All right, family, with that being said, let me come to this last aspect, the element of ethereal inspiration before we close out for today's session. All right, let me share my screen and why it's important to be able to engage our youth and be able to impart certain knowledge and information into them while they're young. All right. So when they grow up, they can have a certain level of fortitude, a certain foundation, a certain understanding of fundamental principles. Okay, that they can be able to come back to, they can be able to center to if they feel themselves getting off of course. All right. And once these things are embedded and ingrained within them, then they can have the wherewithal, they can have the armory and the armament in order to fight against any type of oppression, degradation, disrespect, so on and so forth. All right, with that being said, let's get into this video clip here. We'll come back for comments on this, and then we get ready to close out for this evening.
What is your nationality?
My nationality is Afro-American.
What is freedom?
Freedom is black power.
What is black power?
Black power is...
Do you know what black power is?
No.
Well, then you should never make any statements if you don't know what they mean.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
All right. How old are you, young man?
I am 4 years old.
You're not 4, Aaron. Now you tell me your right age. How old are you? How old are you?
I am 4 years old.
Are you sure you're 4?
Yes.
You're going to let me turn you around and tell you you're some other age? You're 6 years old, Eric.
No.
I can't hear you, Eric.
No.
Are you being frightened by me?
No.
I'm the teacher. I said you're 6.
I am 4 years old.
All right, then. You stand up for it, then. You shouldn't be weak. You stand up and say it. You ought to scream it in my face if I try to tell you different, right?
Yes.
Have a seat. Stand up, young man. Are you a Negro, Travis?
No.
Are you a flunky, Travis?
No.
What are you?
I am black and beautiful.
And what else are you? Are you a boy?
No.
What are you?
Oh, man.
What kind of man?
Black and beautiful man.
Or what kind? Are you an old man or a young man?
Young man.
You, young man, you come here. You're a Negro.
No.
I am your teacher. You are a Negro.
No.
Suppose I threatened to beat you. What would you say? Aren't you a Negro now?
No.
What are you?
I'm black and beautiful.
What is your nationality?
My nationality is Afro-American.
Suppose I had some money in my pocket. Suppose I gave you $1 to say that you're an American Negro. This is money now. Money talks. Money talks. This $1. And if you don't say it, you don't get it. You're an American Negro, aren't you?
No.
You won't have any money. You know you need money, don't you?
Yeah.
You need money to live, don't you?
Yeah.
All right. All you have to say, Leon, is that you're an American Negro. Aren't you an American Negro? Are you an American Negro?
No.
What are you?
I'm black and beautiful.
What's your nationality?
My nationality is Afro-American.
Very good, man. Keep it up. Go sit down. You had to think about that a minute, didn't you?
Yeah.
All right. All right, everybody. What is your nationality?
My nationality is Afro-American.
All right, family, let me stop the screen share there. Okay. And let me come to the ethereal journalist. All right, that was our segment of ethereal inspiration.
One thing for certain, we know he ain't gonna be no sellout.
Okay.
He didn't sell out for that $1. He kept his mind focused on doing what he had to do to keep the narrative that he knows within his heart that he is. So I applaud that young brother, and hopefully he kept it throughout his life, because that was back in the 68.
Right.
So that's all I have to say about that video. And it's whether you call it, I mean, the names and all the stuff that we continue to try to have debates over, African American, Indigenous American, Black, African American, all that kind of stuff. It's at this point in time, it's getting a little bit out of control, and I don't want to waste my energy or time in that debate at this stage of the game, because we don't know who we are at this stage of the game. First and foremost, within your own self, you ain't never gonna know who you are. So arguing with another person and letting that energy, go into that person or react to that nonsense, it just siphons your shit, and then you can't focus on what you got to do to keep your mind focused on your peace and harmony and what you got to do to keep on keeping on. So that's my theory on all of that. Great video, though.
All right, excellent. Coming over to Sister Empress.
So for me, it's about the spirit of resistance. Of course, during that time period to begin to use a different name was important in terms of nationality. It was very important because of what had happened prior to that. So it was a step forward. This is why we look at these things now, we grow and learn from them and prepare for the future. Next year, those who are interested will be able to vote on what we wish to be called, that particular group of our people. You see, so people.
Is it me? Or did we
Nah,
lose?
she cut.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Cut out.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm back. So for those who want to move forward, we will be able to, we're going to take the suggestions of this is what we now want to be called, at least for right now, in order for there to be some kind of comprehension, less ambiguity, more unity. For now, this is what we wish to be called or recognized as a civil society. And with that, our people, those who are interested, is not for everybody. We ain't looking for everybody. This is for folk who know what time it is and are ready to take some steps forward. They will be able to vote. This is what we're now going to call ourselves, so that on an international level, there will be some synchronizing and capability to engage without all the confusion. So that clip was very important. Again, the main thing was about resistance, about self-determination, standing up for what you believe by any and all means necessary. That's what those young brothers and sisters were doing then. That's what's been happening over the years. And we saw how people have fell off. Some that was even talking that same stuff fell off. And now we have to clean it up and move forward.
Absolutely. And those sessions, what are those types of engagements called? The type. Mm-hmm.
What the type of engagements called?
That you're referring to.
Well, I mentioned earlier we're going to be doing. Well, we're getting ready to do the pre-plebiscite sessions now.
Okay, yeah, you didn't mention that part.
Oh, I probably got black. I probably hit the wrong thing, but yeah, I did mention plebiscite. Yeah, it's going to be a plebiscite. Okay. But that's a process. So right now we are getting people acclimated to what a plebiscite is. And again, you ever heard of, for the most part, you ever heard of people doing a national plebiscite? So this is not something that is the norm. And again, we realize we can't do the norm at this stage of the game. If we're not talking about doing something different at this point in time, then you're wasting time.
All right. I say. All right, so we're gearing up for pre-plebiscite sessions, so we can have national plebiscite sessions amongst, within our communities, so we can determine, using principles of self-determination, what it is that we're actually going to be calling ourselves, being able to vote on that, and moving forward with how we're going to develop governmental apparatuses, how we're going to govern ourselves, okay, and the development of civil societies. All right, so we can build towards reestablishing nationhood. Okay, so for additional information, again, you can email nationalmwm@aol.com. That's nationalmwm@aol.com. You can also email me at powerman2282@gmail.com. That's powerman2282@gmail.com. You can also text 267-636-3802. Again, that number is 267 636-3802 for additional information. All right, with that being said, we getting ready to close out for this evening. Thank you for rocking with us, all those who could. This was an extended session for today, but it was informational packed, and we wanted to cover as much as we could. With that being said, we're going to close out the session for this evening. Let me come back to the theater journalist for any final thoughts or closing remarks before we get ready to close out. Let me come to Brother Palmnader first. Final thoughts, closing remarks.
Oops, got to unmic myself. Yeah, I think this was a great session. I think that it was fully packed with a lot of great information. And since it is Black Music Month, continue to play your bass, your balance, your alignment, your stability, your synchronicity in your ethereal journey. Because at the end of the day, you get yourself together internally, we can get ourselves together externally as well as collectively. So keep playing that rhythm, that law of rhythm, which is a universal law. Continue to play your bass, your balance, alignment, stability, and synchronicity, because that's where we need to go towards. We all need to start coming together as one, in one love, one harmony, one frequency, one vibration, so that we can make progress. I mean, it's been a fight. It's been a war. I mean, this incarnation for me, it's been a very challenging one. But I love it because I know at the end of the day, the new heaven and the new earth is coming, because we've made so many great strides over the centuries as our own people, trying to get people back into harmony with one with Mother Nature, Mother Earth, and the great mother of the universe, and all things connected, related, and associated to everything. So I just encourage people to ascend, transcend, and elevate yourself first and foremost, and then get with those spirit teams, those spirit guides, those tribe members that is on that same frequency, and continue to build, because that's how we're going to continue to move on up and get past all this low vibrational, low dimensional, low frequency stuff that's happening in the earth right now, and elevate and transcend it all. So with that being said, upward, forward, onward. This has been the 51st episode of the Ethereal Journey podcast, and I bid you all shalom and one.
Indeed. Thank you for that addition, Brother Palmnader. Coming over to Sister Empress. Final thoughts, closing remarks.
So yes, again, another great ethereal journey session, and definitely looking forward to next week. I just want to pose a question to everyone, a kind of food for thought thing, and it is, we have often brought information, some things you've known, some things you didn't know. So the question has to now be, or one of the questions is, to ask ourselves on a regular basis, what are we doing to honor our ancestors? Actually, what intentional things are we doing individually and collectively that honors our ancestors, whichever one you choose, or whichever ones you choose, that we give recognition to, that we feel, made the sacrifices, made the contributions for us as a people to obtain justice and liberation. So as we proceed, we want to begin to venture into some of those areas of, what are we doing? What are you doing? What am I doing? What are others doing in our circles to honor our ancestors based on their work, contributions, and etc.? Because if you can't readily answer that question with intent, that speaks for itself.
All right. Yes, indeed. Thank you for that addition, Sister Empress. All right. And with that, we're going to close out for this evening, for this session, for the Ethereal Journey podcast, 51st episode. Thank you once again for joining us. All right. So let us continue, family, to push forward, to move ahead. All right. To continue to learn, grow, and develop. Continue to elevate, evolve, and transcend. All right. We all we got, but at the same time, we all we need. All right. And so let's push forward and move forward accordingly. All right. With that being said, I want to give thanks first and foremost to the Most High Creator, Creatress. Give thanks to the ancestors and the elders, those who have shed blood, sweat, and tears and paved the way to allow us to be here today. I want to thank you all, everyone that tapped in on Facebook, on YouTube. All right. Thank you for your time, energy, and essence, dedication, determination, and discipline. I bid you all truth, justice, peace, love, freedom, power, prosperity, protection, divinely principled purpose, all right, and patience. I want to say, let us continue to strategize, organize, and mobilize. And finally, I want to say, Pomoja Tuta Shenda, which means
Together we will win. Upward, forward, on with UFO. Shalom, everybody.
Until next time.